At 7 with the BBC News, I'm John Barnes. TikTok is being sued by the parents of 4 British teenagers who believe their children died after taking part in viral trends on the platform. The lawsuit claims they'd attempted a so-called blackout challenge. TikTok says searches for related videos or hashtags are blocked. Ellen Room is one of the 4 parents taking the legal action after the death of her son Jules in 2022.
It's the only piece of jigsaw we haven't looked at. Nobody at all in Jules' life, teachers, family, friends, nobody thought there was a problem. So unless he hid it from everybody, it led me down social media path. I want social media, like a toxicology report, to be preserved and requested at the time of a child's death so that no other parent has to go through our nightmare of trying to get data.
The UK's healthcare regulator has charged Nottingham University Hospital's NHS Trust over the deaths of 3 babies in 2021. The Care Quality Commission says the Trust failed to provide safe care and treatment to the babies and their mothers. The Trust is expected to plead guilty to the charges at Nottingham Magistrates Court next week. Nearly 80 countries have signed a statement condemning President Trump's decision to impose US sanctions on staff at the International Criminal Court. The United Nations has called on Mr. Trump to reverse the order. There's major disruption to rail services in Northern England after a car crashed onto the tracks in Salford. The main line between Manchester and Liverpool is likely to remain shut for most of the evening. Our reporter Phil Cunliffe is there.
The car was removed by something called a road railer about an hour and a half ago. That's a mechanical machine that moves along the track. It's like a mobile crane. However, there's a lot of work to be done by engineers before trains can resume running through this route, and there is extensive damage to overhead power, electric power cables.
A man's been jailed after sexual assaults on 2 young girls at Sandwich in Kent. 43-year-old Jared Alderton Ford denied the offences after they were reported in 2022. He was convicted at a trial at Canterbury Crown Court and jailed for 7 years. A North Yorkshire takeaway has been fined for selling a curry made of sheep meat but advertising it as ostrich. The owner, Abdul Malik Ali, said it was a mistake by a temporary chef after Trading Standards officers visited in 2023. And a 10-year-old boy from Ilkeston in Derbyshire has started a business cleaning gravestones. Thousands of people have offered Ben support online after his mum announced the idea on Facebook. Ben says it's nice to see the headstones all clean after he's used his secret weapon.
It's a cleaning substance which gets all algae and bacteria off it, which is used to clean the White House in Washington.
You can find out more at the BBC News website. That's the latest. The time now is 3 minutes past 7.
Leicester City game. Every Leicester Tigers match.
Can Montgomery finish? Yes, he can. What a score from Leicester.
Live coverage of the sporting capital.
It's in the air. It's gone for 6, and Leicestershire have won. And the Leicester Riders have won the treble.
Leicester Lightning have won the Super League.
Jutta Rantala gives Leicester City the lead in the FA Cup semi-final.
BBC Radio Leicester Sport.
Hey, good evening. Welcome to Old Trafford as Leicester City travel here for the 3rd time this season. On this occasion, the prize a place in the last 16 of the FA Cup. The Foxes once again need to bounce back after a horrible defeat at Everton last week, which plunged them back into the Premier League relegation zone.
Now with Ilian Ndiaye in towards the edge of the area. Might be played through. Ndiaye, mistake by Leicester. Is this 4? It is! Well, that just sums up Leicester City's day. More mistakes on the edge of their own penalty area. Gives Ilian Ndiaye his 8th goal of the season.
City boss Ruud van Nistelrooy was in the other dugout for the 2 previous meetings between these sides this season, beating Leicester as United caretaker manager both times. So, how does he feel being on this side now?
To be represented in this cup is a privilege. We want to show what we're about in a fantastic away game at Old Trafford. So, yeah, it's more than welcome. These games on a Friday night is a dream.
So after another defeat, has manager Ruud van Nistelrooy felt the need to make changes for the Cup? Owen Palmer-Atkin has the details.
Ruud van Nistelrooy makes 4 changes from the side that lost to Everton last time out. Out go Vestergaard, Christiansen, Winks and Jamie Vardy. In come Akoli, Thomas, Ndidi and Daka. There is a place for Jeremy Monga on the bench. No Jake Evans, no Jamie Vardy. I'll have the full team news in just a few moments' time.
Owen, thank you very much indeed. We will get the thoughts of former Leicester City striker Jermaine Beckford in just a sec. He's with us this evening, joining Owen for full match commentary. But how are you feeling about this one? At BBC RL Sport is where you can let us know on Twitter. 08000 321 333 is the number to send a message on WhatsApp. Start it with the word Leicester. It's Manchester United against Leicester City in the 4th round of the FA Cup. Kick-off is at 8 o'clock. I'm Jack Rafferty on your home of live local sport. This is BBC Radio Leicester.
Every Leicester City game, every Leicester Tigers match, live coverage of the sporting capital. BBC Radio Leicester Sport.
So a very good evening. Welcome to a cold, dark Old Trafford ahead of a fascinating game of FA Cup football. 2 teams in need of a momentum boost after some poor form in the Premier League. And of course, this fixture has the added drama of a return here for City manager Ruud van Nistelrooy. You'll hear from him before kick-off on why he's using tonight to give some of his academy talent some valuable first-team experience. You'll also hear the man given a recent run in the side, backing it up with 2 assists in the win at Spurs. That's Bobby D. Cordova-Reid. And of course, we'll look ahead to the game with our special guest summariser today. That is Jermaine Beckford. Before we say hello to him, let's get a rundown of the 2 teams, starting with the Leicester City lineup. Here's Owen Palmer-Atkin.
Yeah, good evening. Welcome to Old Trafford for the FA Cup 4th round between Manchester United and Leicester City. A break from the rigours and the pressures of the Premier League, with a potential scalp on the line for the Foxes. After that disappointing defeat to Everton last time out, Ruud van Nistelrooy makes 4 changes to his side. Yannick Vestergaard, Victor Christiansen, Harry Winks and Jamie Vardy all out. In come Akoli, Thomas, Ndidi and Patson Daka. So the 11 in full: Mads Hermansen in goal, a back 4. They play a 4-2-3-1 formation of James Justin, Wout Faes, Caleb Akoli and Luke Thomas. Wilfred Ndidi will partner Bouba Soumaré in the midfield, with Jordan Ayew on the right, Bobby D. Cordova-Reid on the left, with Bilal El Khanous in the 10 behind the striker today, Patson Daka. The bench for the Foxes: Jakub Stolarczyk, the goalkeeper, joined by Connor Cody, Harry Winks, Steffi Mavididi, Oliver Skip, Wuyo Koulibaly, Casey McAteer, Facundo Bonanotte and 15-year-old Jeremy Monga. If he plays today, he will be the second youngest player to ever play a first-team game for the Foxes. There's no place for 16-year-old Jake Evans, who we were told would be in the squad today, and also no place for Jamie Vardy as well, Jack.
Owen, thank you very much indeed. As I mentioned, joining Owen tonight, delighted to say we've got former City striker Jermaine Beckford with us. Jermaine, I'm going to ask you a little bit about your time at City in just a sec, but first, we were given that team news a few minutes ago. Your initial thoughts on the Leicester City lineup?
I quite like the fact that there's been a few changes. The 4 changes I feel are quite positive, but I would like to see Jamie Vardy in the actual squad itself. Obviously, if there's an injury involved, then look, it is what it is. There's only so much you could do about that, but he also does need a rest. He's getting on, isn't he? What is he, 38 years of age now, and he's still one of the most potent strikers we've seen in recent times, and he seems like he's getting younger and younger. I absolutely buzz off seeing him play as well. So yeah, it's a shame that he's not involved today, but at the same time, it's a great opportunity for Patson Daka to really show what he's about. He's not quite reached the heights of the levels of the standards that we expected to see of him as yet so far, but maybe today's the day.
As you mentioned, he's one of the 4 changes in there. It can be that the FA Cup is used as an opportunity to mix things up. Is 4 changes a roundabout right for you in terms of wanting to give other players an opportunity, but also being aware that this is a team that needs a bit of momentum?
Do you know what? The cup games are always a great opportunity for the fringe players to have an opportunity to play as well, and they'll be chomping at the bit, especially coming to an arena like Old Trafford, where the expectations are the home team should run away with the the game today, should get the result. I always used to love that. I always used to love people underestimating us and saying, do you know what? Let's let the underdogs see what they're capable of doing. And today's a great day for it. I really do genuinely hope that the Leicester City team today turn up and just play with a complete freedom, with no expectations. It's like you mentioned before, it's a clean break. It's a clean breakaway from the Premier League table, which hasn't been the best of situations the club have found themselves in terms of the results, etc. But a win here, irrelevant of the personnel, could boost the team and hopefully be that thing that we need to push us on.
Well, we will talk about teams coming in here as underdogs and doing something special. A little hint, it's not me or Owen that was involved in one of those teams at Old Trafford. Before we do that though, Owen, what about Manchester United? How do they line up tonight?
Yeah, the Red Devils are in a spot of bother as well, aren't they, under Ruben Amorim, unable yet to consistently put their foot down and stalling in the process under their new boss. They were beaten 2-0 by Crystal Palace here at Old Trafford last time out, and they make 2 changes for the game this evening. Out go Lisandro Martinez with a knee injury and Alejandro Garnacho. In come new signing Patrick Dorgo and Rasmus Højlund. So the 11 in full for the Red Devils. Andre Onana starts in goal. They play a 3-4-3. Lenny Yoro, Harry Maguire and Diogo Dalot the back 3. Nusser Mazraoui on the right, Patrick Dorgu on the left, with Manuel Ugarte and Kobe Mainu in the midfield. Amad Diallo will play on the right hand side, Bruno Fernandes the captain on the left, with Rasmus Højlund leading the line for United tonight. The bench, Hubert Grazic is the goalkeeper, joined by Matthias de Ligt, Aidan Heaven, Victor Lindelof, Casemiro, Toby Collier, Christian Eriksen, Alejandro Garnacho and Joshua Zirkzee. The referee tonight as well, Jack, is Michael Salisbury. There is no VAR this evening at this stage in the FA Cup. Manchester United versus Leicester City in the 4th round. Kick-off is at 8 p.m.
Owen, thank you very much indeed. A little fist pump from Jermaine Beckford there at the thought of no VAR. What about that United team? How do you assess that, and what sort of a challenge will that face for Leicester City?
Again, Manchester United are having a really, really bizarre season based on what they've done in the past, and that's something that we can't get away from, the fact that Manchester United at one stage, at one point, were an absolute juggernaut. They were the biggest footballing team in the world. They were challenging for every single title, whether it's the Premier League, the FA Cups, the Champions League. They were there or thereabouts every single season without fail. And now we're looking at a team that are struggling in the Premier League. Their home form is not great at all. They've picked up, they've picked up the lowest amount of points at home in the history of Manchester. Well, I say in the history, maybe since like the 50s, 60s, 70s. That's unheard of, and that's something that shouldn't be the case for a football club the size of Manchester United. You look at the players that have been selected. Onana, I'm not his biggest admirer, I'm not his biggest fan. I think he makes too many unnecessary mistakes. I don't think he's a phenomenal goalkeeper, so I think there's a great opportunity for Patson Daka today to get a couple of shots off and close him in as well. Just test him, see what he's about, see if he can handle the long range shots on set pieces, on corners, bully him a little bit. That's what I would like to see. Harry Maguire, I'm a big fan of his. Obviously everybody at Leicester knows what his strong points are, his strengths, his abilities. He's a leader, but he's also one of those players that he struggles on the turn against a player with pace. He likes the physical games. He likes to get touch tight to you. So what I would do is I would play off him, try and give him a little bump, get 2 or 3 yards away from him and spin in the channels, get behind him. Dorgu, the new guy, I'm not sure what to expect from him yet. It's a new experience for him, playing in an arena like this with 75-ish thousand people. Will he be able to handle it? Nobody knows just yet. It'll be intriguing. I'm intrigued. The rest of the team, we know what to expect from them because we've seen it all season. The only real standout player is Amad Diallo. He's been phenomenal for Manchester United. He's been the best player in the squad all season, and he's only a baby. He's 22 years old. He's just recently broken onto the scene. He's had a couple of loan spells away from the club as well, but you shouldn't be expecting a kid, somebody like that with not so much Premier League experience, especially experience at a massive football club like Manchester United, to be the one player that's leading the club.
For you, when you remember back to your time as a player, and
it wasn't that long ago.
When you'd come here to Old Trafford to face Manchester United, and you touched upon it there, is it a completely different prospect now, do you think, for an away team and player coming here?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I'm looking at it and the fear factor's gone. You come here and you're expecting to get something from the game, whereas when Manchester United were successful, you would worry about turning up because they had a team full of superstars, full of players that are going to run through brick walls, that are going to try their absolute hardest, and the quality is there alongside the physicality, and the technical ability is right up there with some of the best in the world. Now, that's not the case. They're there to be got at, and we've seen that in the past. The last couple of games, I say the last couple of games, the last game in the Premier League for Manchester United, it goes to prove it. Crystal Palace were fantastic. Mateta did exactly what I expect Patson Daka to do today. Be a little bit physical with some of the centre halves, not only Maguire but some of the other boys as well, but then use that raw pace to get away from him and get him behind, and that's where Manchester United are vulnerable.
I mentioned it a couple of times, you coming here as a player. I wouldn't be able to forgive myself if I didn't ask you a little bit, before we focus on the game a bit more, about your career at Leicester City, the time you were there. What are your memories of being a Leicester City player?
Oh, it was amazing. I signed at a great time where the club was on the up. Sven-Göran Eriksson, what a man, absolute legend, always will be in my eyes. He brought me into the club on deadline day, taught me a lot about football that I didn't realise I needed to know, but unfortunately after it was 4, 5, 6 games or so, he got the sack, and that was pretty much detrimental to me on a personal level, because that was one of the main reasons I signed for the club. The club's a massive football club, but also to have somebody of the ilk of Sven-Göran Eriksson, who had been the England manager, Manchester City, like his history in the game was massive and phenomenal, and the experiences he'd been through, I was learning a lot from him, and it was just a shame that it couldn't have lasted longer, but again, that is part and parcel of what football is.
It's particularly fitting that we've got you here on an FA Cup night. I've spent the afternoon re-watching the highlights of that game against Nottingham Forest, that hat-trick, but of course here as well as a Leeds United player, coming here and getting that famous... Is that your most famous goal as a player, do you think?
I don't know. Do you know what? It's a very difficult one, because depending on which football fans you ask, they'll give you a completely different answer. And look, it's one of the biggest goals I've scored, because it's for Leeds United against Manchester United, two massive rivals, two massive football clubs, and to come here, being in the third tier at the time, I think we were in League One, they were in the Premier League. They just come off the back of winning the Premier League. They were in the Champions League at the time, so they definitely underestimated us, and that's what I mentioned briefly before about the underdogs. I love the underdog story, because you go into the game with no pressure, no expectations. As long as you do your job, you work as hard as you can possibly work, and you keep everything as simple as possible, the game will take care of itself. And that's what we did when I was at Leeds United. We did the hard work, we made the ball do the work for us, and we managed to score a goal. We were unfortunate, incidentally, not to have come off the pitch with a couple more goals, but that's just the way the game goes.
The voice there of former Leicester City and Leeds United striker Jermaine Beckford. Delighted to say he's with us at Old Trafford this evening. Manchester United against Leicester in the FA Cup 4th round. Let's hear from the City boss then, shall we? After an eventful press conference this week, Ruud van Nistelrooy was pragmatic on City's transfer business, or lack thereof, saying their financial constraints and lack of available talent meant just one player came in through the door. He also discussed about playing a 15 and 16-year-old, including them in the squad tonight. Just one of them has made it. 15-year-old Jeremy Monga is on the bench for Leicester City this evening. 16-year-old Jake Evans not on the bench. The City boss spoke about though about giving them the opportunity to be involved in a historic competition like the FA Cup, starting with his own experience of playing in it.
Yeah, no, good memories there. But be able to win a final, able to lose a final, able to get knocked out in the 4th round, able to get knocked out in the 5th round. It's like, it's football. You do everything you can. It doesn't work, you move on, and you take the best bits with you for life. I mean, the medal is in a spot in my home in the Netherlands, so it's there forever. So it's something I cherish. It's something I'm proud of. And but for us as Leicester City, the FA Cup is a great stage to show what you're about. It's also fantastic to add young players into my squad tomorrow. A 15-year-old and a 16-year-old. They're going to be part of the squad tomorrow. Going to be even on the bench tomorrow. So it's also something that are occasions where you can. These things can also happen and opportunities for players.
It's really good luck.
Thanks.
Hi, Ruud. Good to see you. You talked there about the 15 and 16-year-old. I mean, one of those many people might assume would be Jeremy Monga, who has...
Good guess, yeah. Jeremy Monga, they have names, the 15-year-old and the 16-year-old. So the 15-year-old is called Jeremy Monga and the 16-year-old is called Jake Evans. They'll be part of the squad tomorrow.
You've spoken about those two players before, I think Jake last week and Jeremy as well. How important to be able to give players like that coming through the academy that kind of pathway and that vision as to what they will be able to go on to achieve and achieve it now as well as being part of the squad?
Of course. I mean, the moment I came, I've always worked from the Netherlands. Of course, it's a country where you develop players, and in the Eredivisie you sign them on to other teams in the Premier League or the other bigger leagues. So in my time in PSV, it was great to be part of the development of Cody Gakpo, Noni Madueke, Xavi Simons, Jared Brandtwaite, Johan Bakayoko, Ismail Saibari. It's fantastic. As a manager, working with these lads, learning them the trade of what it's like to be a professional, what's the lifestyle about, what is the approach, what's the mindset, and then you talk about things on the pitch, develop them as players and as human beings. So same here. First thing I did was looking at the under-21s, the under-18s, join them in for regular first team training, get an idea of them. Yeah, it's not only looking outside to strengthen. Of course, there's a great academy here, and I look inside to strengthen. And when players are good enough, the age doesn't matter to me, and they can help the squad and the team.
Just finally on these two players, I know you said before that Jeremy Monga has the attention of the footballing world, I think was your phrase a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Is having them involved in games like this and proving there is a pathway from academy to 21s to the first team a good way of convincing them that their future should be at Leicester City?
I think it's what it's about. I think a talent decides on his pathway what's best for the player, which pathway. And this club is a great pathway for young talents to get first team training, first team football in the Premier League at that age. You know, there are not many clubs who can offer that.
Ruud van Nistelrooy there speaking about giving young players opportunities. 15 years of age, Jeremy Monga on the bench for Leicester City today. If he was to come on Jermaine Beckford, he'd be the second youngest player for the club behind Ashley Chambers. How big a moment is it for a player like Jeremy, and what is it like as a youth player to get that first opportunity with the first team?
It's an amazing opportunity, and I can guarantee you he wouldn't have slept for the last couple of nights thinking about running through all of the different scenarios and situations that he could find himself in. Am I going to make a goal line clearance? Am I going to be able to score the winning goal? Am I going to make a phenomenal tackle right in the halfway line to get the fans right up for the game? He would have been going through all of these scenarios, all of these different situations to kind of prepare himself for making his debut. And I can only take it back to my debut when I was at Leeds. I signed for Leeds, and I played on the Saturday afternoon for Wealdstone in front of probably about not even 100 people, right? Let's just call it that. And then on the Tuesday night, I'd signed for Leeds United. I had one training session on the Monday afternoon. The Tuesday night, I was playing in front of 34,500 people, and I had goosebumps every step of since I woke up first thing in the morning until I got off the pitch. Goosebumps every step of the way, and I could only imagine he's feeling exactly the same way. And it's down to the experienced pros to kind of rein him in and say to him, look, you just calm it down, just relax, just play the game that you play normally and naturally. Don't get too excitable. Don't get too excited by the scenario, the situation, the stadium, the fans, the noise, any of that stuff. Blank it out. Do exactly what you do on the training pitch, because that's the reason why you're here today.
I mean, you go from one extreme to the other. For you, it was going from Wealdstone to Ellen Road. For him, it is going from the development team pitch at Seagrave to here at Old Trafford. How difficult is it, though, you said there about not focusing on your surroundings? How tough is that?
It's challenging. Don't get me wrong for a second. Like, we're not robots. We have emotions, we have feelings, we have sensations, and every single one of those things will be kicking into overdrive now. And as I mentioned before, you've got to put it behind you. He would have been involved in match days, and not necessarily in match day squads, but in terms of going to stadiums and looking at the games and speaking to a couple of the boys behind the scenes in the training ground, in the changing rooms, etc., and just asking the senior pros questions about it, or asking some of the younger players who have recently made their breakthrough, asking them questions about it. For example, what did it feel like when we can hear the noise now starting to creep up. What was it like the first time you heard that roar when you ran onto the pitch? How did that make you feel? And the players will be open and honest with them. That's what they are. These lot are like an extended family. They're your extended family for 6 months, a year, 2 years, however long you're at the club or however long they're at the club. So you go through so many strong situations together that you can't help but treat the younger ones like your younger brothers, like younger siblings. And that's exactly what it is. The older boys will look after them.
15-year-old Jeremy Monga on the bench for Leicester City today. That the voice of former Leicester City striker Jermaine Beckford with us at Old Trafford. Manchester United against Leicester in the FA Cup fourth round. Leicester City's women also in FA Cup action this weekend. They travel to face Manchester City in the fifth round on Sunday. City's women reached the semi-finals of the competition last season, but Amandine Mikel has a tough job on her hands this time as focus remains on keeping their place in the WSL. Midfielder Ruby Mace was missing from the 4-1 defeat to Everton last weekend due to suspension, but expected to return to face her former side. She made history earlier this season by becoming the first Leicester City women's player to play for England. She's been telling Zoe McGrady what that meant.
I think from my first loan spell at Leicester, I really wanted to come back and really do well for the club, and I think to make my debut being a Leicester City player means a lot to me, means a lot to my family, and it goes down in history, so that's a plus as well.
Always good to make history.
Yeah, and I think I just want to show people that it doesn't necessarily matter what club you're at. If you're working hard, you do get seen and you do get noticed, and your football playing goes not unnoticed by people. And just because I went from Man City to Leicester, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden no one sees you anymore. But if you're working hard and you're trying to stand out and trying to be the best version of yourself, you can still get called.
Playing under Serena Wiegman, what did you learn from her? What was it like to be managed by her and the advice that she gave you?
Yeah, it was really good. I've heard a lot of good things about her and how she's very straight to the point, which is always what you want in a coach. It's better to go straight to the point about how things are. And yeah, she just gave me the confidence to say, I liked what I've seen from you so far, just bring that into the camp and do your thing.
I'm sure I don't need to remind you that it's the Women's Euros this summer. The competition is obviously, as always, incredibly high for a place in that squad. What would it mean to you to be included in that squad and be out in Switzerland in the summer?
Yeah, it would mean everything, and I think for me that's probably one of my biggest dreams, to go and represent my country at a first team level internationally. And yeah, it's a massive chance, and like I said, I just have to keep doing what I'm doing and work hard, and don't forget that pressure's a privilege, and to just be the best version of myself, and hopefully I can take the steps in the right direction.
All the advice and experience that you've got so far at an international level, you look at players like Nellie Lass, Simone Sherwood, do you pass that on to them and show them that they can be in your position playing for a club like Leicester? Yeah,
I think they know and they can see that it doesn't matter where you are, as long as you're working hard and as long as you're doing everything you can do, you can get called any time. And it doesn't matter about your age, it doesn't matter about your size anymore. It's about what you do on the pitch and how you work hard all the time. Working hard is something that everybody sees, and football, like, it's not going to be perfect every time, but if you're working hard, no one's going to doubt you.
FA Cup this weekend, being English, playing football in England, what does the FA Cup mean to you as a player and your early memories? Did you watch the FA Cup growing up?
Yeah, for sure. I think the FA Cup's always a good competition to come and fight for your spot, and I think the rounds that we've had have been quite hard so far. No game's easy, and we just want to go and leave it all out there with no regrets.
You're facing Manchester City, your former side. Does that change the feeling for you around the game, facing players that you've played with, potentially some of your friends?
Yeah, I think it's always good to play against your former club because you want to prove a point to show, oh, actually, like, I play now and I'm happy, and I'm going to show you that what I've learned from being at Man City to now putting it into practice at Leicester. Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for us as a team to go out there, obviously being the underdogs, and you never know what the underdogs can do.
And the struggles that you face as a side is probably the reason why you're going into this game as the underdogs. You've had it tough in the league so far, so how much would it mean to beat Manchester City for you personally, to beat your former side and get into the quarterfinals after Sunday?
Yeah, I think we have had some really hard times, but also we've had some really high spells as well. Like, we're one of the teams that have conceded the least goals in the league. Like, we're the only team to take a point off Chelsea, so that's very positive for us, and that gives us a lot of confidence to know that we can go into every game with a winning mentality.
Leicester City women's Ruby Mace there speaking to Zoe McGrady in the week. Any minute now, by the way, Leicester Riders tipping off against Surrey 89ers in their SLB Cup semi-final first leg, aiming for their first final of the season. They missed out on the other semi-final in the SLB Trophy earlier this campaign. Head coach Rob Paternoster says occasions like tonight and Sunday are what it's all about.
You know, what you have to understand about the first leg in basketball especially is that it is a 40-minute game, so you could have the worst 20 minutes of your season and still be hanging around. You can hang around in the game. Also, you could have the best 20 minutes, the first half, and play great and think that, in a normal type situation, this game is probably done and dusted, but it's never over. This is a game, this 40 minutes we go right to the end, no matter what the score is, no matter how you're playing. You got to have that mentality to just go all the way to the end, and we'll see where we're at on Sunday. We're happy to be here Sunday. I think, having the second leg at home, we're expecting a big crowd here. It should be a really fun day. These semi-final games in this league and these competitions always are exciting to be at.
And of course, East Midlands bragging rights on the line in the rugby tomorrow. Tigers face neighbours Nottingham in the Premiership Rugby Cup. Pete Hewitt named a side mixed with youth and experience, and Mecca Ilioni in the starting lineup told BBC Radio Leicester he's been working on his physicality.
When I'm in the gym, I'm making the decision to go for that extra rep to make sure I'm getting as much as I can when I'm on the pitch, trying to push myself to the limit so that when I do get into games I'm feeling even better. So yeah, I think it's more to do with the mindset. That's definitely something I've been working with Czechs on.
And Melton's Amelia Coltman has won the European Championship skeleton silver and World Cup bronze in Norway this afternoon. It means she's jumped from 5th to 4th in the overall World Cup standings at the end of her 8-race season. Another reminder, whatever the sport, Leicestershire is the sporting capital of the world. Here at Old Trafford, it's Manchester United against Leicester City in the 4th round of the FA Cup. We'll have a reminder of the two teams in just a sec.
A.G. Damon at breakfast.
BBC Radio Leicester.
If the weather's got you stuck in the car.
I was coming down to Council going past the crematorium, and the fields there are all flooding. It's across the road.
You're taking the kids to school.
Welcome to the Breakfast Club.
Welcome to Rosalie C and the Academy.
Or you've got a story to tell.
I slowed down to walk and I ran a bit and walked a bit. At the time, I didn't know, but I was having an heart attack.
We've got you covered on The Breakfast Show, and we'll also do our best to make you smile. Every day from 6. A.G. Damon at breakfast.
Weekdays from 6.
BBC Radio Leicester.
Hey up, welcome back to Old Trafford. Leicester City here for the third time this season to face Manchester United. This time though, it's for the FA Cup fourth round. Both teams coming into this off the back of a loss in the Premier League. For United, it was a 2-0 home defeat to Crystal Palace. For City, 4-0 loss on the road to Everton.
As Leicester City travel to Goodison Park for the final time in top-flight football. Their first trip here was 116 years ago, and Everton have opened the scoring within 10 seconds. Tarkovsky plays it around the corner to Beto. This could be bad for Leicester. It is bad for Leicester. Beto scores and doubles the Toffees' lead inside 6 minutes. And Everton looking for a third here. Great ball through to Beto. Right at the end, Beto rolls it home. Might be played through. And Jai, mistake by Leicester. Is this 4? It is. Well, that just sums up Leicester City's day. More mistakes on the edge of their own penalty area. Gives Ilian Jai his 8th goal of the season. Everton 4, Leicester City 0.
Following that defeat, City boss Ruud van Nistelrooy has called for consistency from his side after recent results in the Premier League.
The consistency is still failing. You can also see it from game to game. When you see the Spurs performance as a whole, you see a certain level that we can reach as a team, and a week later it's nowhere near that. So consistency is the word. Consistency, it's not a button you can switch on or off. Consistency is work, is lifestyle, is mindset, is using everything within this beautiful building to become a better football player, and that's what I'm working on. These standards, they have to be raised. Every day, the day-to-day standards have to improve to become more consistent.
With less than half an hour to go till this one kicks off, let's get a reminder of both teams. Owen Palmer-Atkin is your matchday commentator.
4 changes for Leicester City following the defeat to Everton last time out, with Vestergaard, Christiansen, Winks and Vardy missing out. Hermansen starts in goal, a back 4 of Justin, Fars, Akoli and Thomas, and Didi partners Soumare in midfield, Ayew on the right, D. Cordova-Reid on the left, and El Khanous in the 10 behind striker Daka. The bench for Leicester, Stalacic the keeper, joined by Cody, Winks, Mavididi, Skip, Koulibaly, McAteer, Buonanotte and 15-year-old Jeremy Monga. As for Manchester United, 2 changes, with Lisandro Martinez injured and Garnacho dropping to the bench. Onana starts in goal, a back 3 of Yoro, Maguire and Dorgu. Mazraoui will start on the right, Ugarte and Mainu in the middle, with Dalot on the left. Diallo will play as a right winger, Bruno Fernandes as a left winger, with Højlund leading the line for the Red Devils. Gracic is the goalkeeper on the bench, joined by De Ligt, Heaven, Lindelof, Casemiro, Collier, Eriksson, Garnacho and Xerxes. The referee's Michael Salisbury. There's no VAR. It's Manchester United versus Leicester City in the FA Cup 4th round.
Owen, thank you very much indeed. Well, this week we got the chance to speak to Bobby D. Cordova-Reid, the former Fulham and Cardiff man, who of course joined Leicester City in the summer. Hasn't played too regularly, with Steffi Mavididi preferred over him for most of the season, but with City's struggles, he might see this week and this campaign as the chance to improve. He's been speaking to Owen this week.
The FA Cup next up, what does it mean to you?
It means a lot. It's an opportunity to win the cup, and we can take a big scalp in Man United. I don't think they've been in the best of form, so we're going to go up there with full confidence of getting through to the next round and play with no fear.
Every footballer seems to have, doesn't matter where they kind of come from in the world, every footballer seems to have that dream of winning the FA Cup, and this club has, the manager has, there's players in this team that have. Is that an ambition that you share?
Of course, you want to win trophies. When you look back on your career, you want to look back on medals and good moments. So it's an opportunity for us to progress. Obviously, we're taking it game by game, but it's a big opportunity for us to go through to the next round.
When there's something on the line in the league, often people can look and separate the FA Cup, the League Cup, the Premier League, the Championship, whatever division it is, and talk about priorities. How does that sit in reality as a professional footballer? I
think the priority is next game, and the priority is, can we take confidence from next game going into the whatever game's next. So going into the FA Cup, if we can get a win, it will breed confidence to players in the squad going into the next game, that now we're in a better place to get 3 points. So yeah.
You talked about Manchester United having not been in the best form of late. How do you make sure that you go there and put them in a position where they don't feel comfortable again?
Yeah, I think we got to focus on ourselves mainly, how we play. We can't control what they do. Obviously, we know they got good players, so we have to nullify their attacking threats, but at the same time, be dangerous in us going forward.
I think the two games earlier on this season were strange against Manchester United. One in the League Cup, one in the Premier League. Ruud van Nistelrooy was the manager of Manchester United at the time. It felt like two games against a United side that were on the up, and now things seem to have changed. Is there? I just wonder how strange it might be for you to go back to Old Trafford on this occasion with their manager in your dugout now, and it being another game there.
I don't think we take notice of that too much. That's probably for fans and other people to be excited about. Obviously, we've got a job to do. It'll be a good atmosphere. Obviously, it's a great place to play. But we're looking to silence the crowd as soon as possible.
What would a run in the FA Cup mean to you, getting over the line against United firstly this Friday?
Yeah, it'll be nice. Like I said, it would obviously give the club and players and everyone associated with this football club a lot of confidence. So obviously we take one game at a time, but to eliminate Man United out of the Cup would be nice.
Bobby De Cordova-Reid there speaking to Owen in the week. Jermaine Beckford, what have you made to Bobby De Cordova-Reid? What have you made to his time at Leicester City?
Do you know what? He's one of these players that I actually quite like to watch play, and I enjoyed watching him when he was at Fulham, especially. He gives you energy. He's not the quickest player in the world, don't get me wrong, but he'll give you 100% effort, and every now and then he'll give you a 10 out of 10 game or a 9 out of 10 game, but I just want a little bit more consistency from him, and I think that's one of the reasons why he's been in and out of the team. And I say in and out of the team, more out than in, because there's just not been that guarantee of the consistency from him. We saw in the last game he got a couple of assists, really good assists for Vards, on his weaker left foot, whipping it in hard and low. As a striker, that's all you want. You just want your wingers, your wide players, to put the ball in the dangerous areas and put it in there with a little bit of vigour, a bit of meaning. And that's what he did. And, that's, I think, one of the reasons why he's, again, playing today. But I just want to see more. I think we need to see a little bit more from him.
It's that being the game against Spurs, he started against Everton as well, and you look at a game like this and think there might be changes. Do you think he'd have been demanding to continue in the team rather than it be mixed up by Ruud van Nistelrooy tonight?
I think based on it's yes, in a nutshell, yes, he would have been saying to the gaffer, look, I came in, it's been a little while since I've played a lot of games. Look at the last game. I put 2 balls on the... I've got 2 great assists. I can do more, but I just need that run of games. Do you trust me? I believe in myself. I just need you to believe in me. And those 2 assists would have been exactly what the manager needed to see from him. And maybe that's one of the reasons why he's not been playing, because he's not maybe putting in enough in training where the manager turns around and says, right, well, I can trust him a little bit more. Now we've seen it in a match day situation. Today is another great opportunity for him, because this is a team that are going to want to try and get on the ball as much as possible. And as soon as Leicester win the ball back, he's one of those players that could create something, especially with the pace of Patson Daka up top as well. If he wins the ball back nice and early, Bobby De Cordova-Reid and Patson Daka should have had a conversation already in the changing rooms or on the training ground and said, listen, when I pick the ball up here, you have to move into this area, you have to go here, and you have to go fast and hard. Otherwise, it's just not going to work for either one of us two.
You mentioned Patson Daka a few times now. It's interesting, we spoke about the opportunity for the younger players coming in, but actually you look at those fringe players, Patson Daka, Caleb Okoli, Luke Thomas, all playing today. As a fellow striker, let's focus on Daka. What do you want to see from him tonight? How big an opportunity is it?
Well, look, it's a massive opportunity for himself, especially knowing that Jamie Vardy's 38 years of age now. He's not getting any younger. Seemingly, he's getting fitter and faster. But look, he's not getting any younger, and eventually, Jamie's going to have to either move on or retire. Hopefully, retire before he moves on. I don't want to see him play for anybody else. He's an ultimate legend in my eyes. But Leicester City, we need somebody else to step into his shoes, and they're big boots to fill, by the way. Patson Daka, could he be that guy? Right now, no. If you ask me flat out to give you a yes or no, it would be a no. But that doesn't mean that in a year, 2 years, 3 years time, this guy's not going to start pulling up really, really good numbers. He's just got to have the belief of his teammates around him. He's got to give 100% effort all of the time, and it's hard. I've been there. It's hard at times, but that's one thing you can't shy away from, especially when you're playing for the Foxes.
The voice there of former Leicester City striker Jermaine Beckford with us on co-coms this evening at Old Trafford at Leicester City against Manchester United in the FA Cup. Let's hear again from the City boss Ruud van Nistelrooy. Of course, Old Trafford, a place he knows well, having won the FA Cup as a player here, spent a short period as interim boss earlier this season, beating Leicester City twice in that stint, by the way. He's been speaking about the challenge of facing Manchester United as the away boss and how they're feeling ahead of the game.
It's always welcome. And we have time enough to recover. We had time enough to prepare the game. So we're going absolutely do everything possible to be at our best. And it's never a distraction. You know, the FA Cup, to represent, to be represented in this cup is a privilege. We want to show what we're about in a fantastic away game at Old Trafford. So, yeah, it's more than welcome. These games on a Friday night is a dream for every player to play there.
You have played and won a lot of games at Old Trafford as a player and scored a lot of goals as well. What is the key to getting a result there tomorrow night?
It's not only at Old Trafford. I mean, we've seen in the spell that I've been here now for 8 or 9 weeks, we've shown that what we're capable of. In big spells during games, we reach a high level in off the ball, on the ball, but the consistency is still failing. You can also see it from game to game. When you see the Spurs performance as a whole, you see a certain level that we can reach as a team, and the week later, it's nowhere near that. So consistency is the word. The consistency, it's not a button you can switch on or off. Consistency is work, is lifestyle, is mindset, is using everything within this beautiful building to become a better football player, and that's what I'm working on. These standards, they have to be raised. Every day, the day-to-day standards have to improve to become more consistent. And that is my job, and that is what my standards were as a player and as a current manager, as a person, how I see professional football, how you should live that on and off the pitch. And I'm sharing that every day with my players and all the staff here. And those standards are part of me, is my DNA, and every day I'm telling everybody, okay, this is not the standard, or yes, this is the standard. And if we can all live to those standards, I think we can become more consistent. But it's not something that from 8 to 9 weeks that you can change that so far. We have still time, and I believe that we can do that.
Leicester City manager Ruud van Nistelrooy there, speaking about returning to Old Trafford. As we mentioned before, he beat Leicester City twice in his 4-game stint as interim boss. Jermaine Beckford, how do you think he'll be feeling about this evening? Because it does feel slightly different when it's a manager going back to his old stomping ground as opposed to a player. Isn't it his job to almost distract away from that attention as opposed to try and embrace it?
Yeah, managers always try and make sure they're taking the attention away from the players, taking the pressure away from the players. So you hear him talking about certain things in his interview then, and it's trying to dampen those expectations just a little bit, ever so slightly. And what that does, it gives the players an opportunity to really say, right, do you know what? Out there, let's pretend that we're just going to be in it to win it. We'll just pretend that we're here and involved in the game. But behind closed doors, we've got a real belief. We've got a real belief that we're going to get something from this game. We're going to win this game. We're going to take the game to Manchester United. We're going to put them under pressure because we know they've not been in the best vein of form. Why not? That's exactly what his thought process is in situations like that.
What has been your assessment of Manchester United in recent weeks, particularly since Ruben Amorim's come in?
There have been moments of Ruben Amorim's time in charge that I do think, do you know what? I can sort of see what he's trying to do, but let's not forget he took over from a not very good side in Ten Hag, what Ten Hag left for him. So he was almost first thing trying to build up that self-belief again, rather than trying to make wholesale changes. Now he's starting to do that bits and pieces. The last 3 games, with exception to the Crystal Palace game, 3 games prior to that, they had 3 wins on the bounce. and that's building that the belief back around the place. Is, you know, there's an aura that's creeping back out there. There's an expectation from the Manchester United fans that are starting to get back in there, but at the moment they're taking 2 steps forwards and 1 step backwards, and I feel like this is their step backwards. They're there to be got at, they're there to be attacked. At the same time, I actually quite like the fact that he is not shy to put 3 defenders at the back. That's something a little bit different. Look, it's not working perfectly now at the moment, but he's still working on something, and that's what he wants. You know, in the summer he'll be able to bring in a couple of players that'll be able to play in that formation the way that he wants, but for the time being he just wants the rest of the players to understand this is what I'm expecting of you when we're playing in this formation.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, because there has been focus on the fact that he has tried to make this, he is a 3-4-3 manager, that's how he wants his teams to play.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to do that mid-season, having taken over Ten Hag a few games into the start of the season, just how difficult is that as a player to adjust to an entirely new system halfway through a season?
Well, if you're a professional footballer, you should be able to adjust to anything the manager asks of you. You know, at the same time, Manchester United are not challenging for titles right now, so the expectation for Manchester United to be there or thereabouts is not there, which means as long as they're nowhere near relegation or they're not going to get relegated, he's got almost free rein to explore and experiment with his team how he used to play with, how he got his teams playing in Portugal, and that's exactly what he's doing. And I do think it's going to work for him, but I do think he desperately needs time, and he needs a couple more windows to be able to bring in and move on some more of the players that they've got in this team. Because if you look at the squad of Manchester United currently, the current squad, out of the players that are in the whole squad, how many of those would get into the top 6 current Premier League teams? And you could argue not very many at all, and that's not what you would expect to see or hear from a Manchester United squad. That should be some of the best in the world, cherry-picked from Real Madrid or Bayern Munich or, you know, one of the Milan clubs, for example. But that's not the case. You know, with all due respect, the players that Manchester United are going out and getting or are selling to are not going to the top 6 teams in the world. So it's kind of like, well, that just shows you where they are. They're building.
So in terms of Ruud van Nistelrooy and his message to his players, should it be one of belief? These are here for the taking.
Yes, 100%. Look, Leicester are not in the greatest vein of form either, so let's be brutally honest about that. But at the same time, we're away from home, so the expectation is not very big. Here at the moment in this stadium, there's just under 2,000 fans here, Leicester City fans here. The rest of the fans here are Manchester United fans, and that in itself should say, right, well, let's go and upset them. We've got no expectations, no real expectations of coming here and definitely getting the victory and moving on to the next round, but we've got to have a certain self-belief within ourselves that we can do it. And I do actually believe that there's a possibility, especially if we're able to pick the ball up from the back, move the ball forward very, very quickly and hit them on the counter. I mentioned before, Patson Daka's pace, it's there. Let's use it. Let's exploit the centre halves. Let's make sure we're causing problems and getting in their faces and not making it easy and not making it an enjoyable situation for Manchester United. Foul them if you have to. There's no VAR, so this is where I come into my own, the little dark arts where you kind of stamp on the toes by accident but on purpose, or you know, there's so many little things that you could do to get away with it, especially with no cameras, and as long as it's within the rules, the legalities of it, I think today is a great opportunity to really upset these lot.
Former Leicester City striker Jermaine Beckford with us on BBC Radio Leicester Sport. Those City fans, just under 2,000, have made the trip here just to our right, started to find their voice in the corner here at Old Trafford. Leicester City aiming for the FA Cup last 16. They'll have to get past Manchester United here at Old Trafford. Can Ruud van Nistelrooy spoil the party on his homecoming? We're just a few minutes from kick-off.
Every kick, every game, live.
BBC Radio Leicester Sport.
Yeah, the disappointment on the game which we didn't see coming after the Spurs performance.
Enjoy, mistake by Leicester. Is this 4? It is! Well, that just sums up Leicester City's day. More mistakes on the edge of their own penalty area.
Was painful, and it was very disappointing. And we have time enough to recover. We had time enough to prepare the game. We're going to absolutely do everything possible to be at our best. It's never a distraction, you know. The FA Cup, to be represented in this cup is a privilege. We want to show what we're about in a fantastic away game at Old Trafford.
There's Buonanotte! There's the third! And might that just be Leicester through to the 4th round of the FA Cup? Fourth, what a goal! Scores the 6th for Leicester. Runs away in front of the Kop. A 25-yard strike from Wout.
So it's more than welcome. These games on a Friday night is a dream for every player to play them. The day-to-day standards have to improve to become more consistent. And that is my job, what my standards were as a player and as a current manager, as a person, how I see professional football. If we can all live to those standards, I think we can become more consistent.
Bilal El-Khanous! Yeah! Into the bottom corner! What a finish from Leicester's Moroccan star! Daka's touch gets him around Kilman. Daka bearing down on goal. Daka doesn't need it!
Come on, Daka!
Left-footed, fires it past Fabianski! And that is the third for Leicester City.
It's special to go back there. Of course, the history as a player, history as an assistant manager, history as a caretaker manager.
Giggs to his left, Van Nistelrooy!
That is part of me and always will be. But from tomorrow, the focus is on my players, my team, to get the best out of them possible and perform and show what we're about.
A good header, and it's there! It's a goal by Keyworth. Well, now this final may really wake up again. Leicester City 1, Manchester United 2.
Tony Cottage trying to get the end on Cotty with a shot! And Cotty scores for Leicester City! Tony Cotty has put City ahead here at Old Trafford! It's Cambiasso! Esteban Cambiasso for Leicester City! Body! Yeah!
Body gets the winner! Body's done it! Celebrates in front of the Kop! Leicester scored a 4! United down and out!
You're listening to BBC Radio Leicester Sport live from Old Trafford. Leicester City here for the third time this season. This one, they're looking for a place in the next round, the last 16 of the FA Cup, and the two sets of players out onto the pitch. So I hand you to your commentary team this evening, Jermaine Beckford and Owen Palmer-Atkin.
Thank you very much, Jack Rafferty. Good evening and welcome to Old Trafford for the FA Cup 4th round between Manchester United and Leicester City. A look at the teams this evening, starting with the home side, Manchester United and Ruben Amorim. Andre Onana starts in goal. They play a 3-4-3, so the three at the back: Lenny Yoro, Harry Maguire, the former Leicester City man, and new signing Patrick Dorgu. Noussair Mazraoui will play on the right-hand side, Manuel Ugarte and Kobbie Mainoo in the middle, with Diogo Dalot on the left. Amad Diallo and Bruno Fernandes will support captain and the striker Rasmus Højlund. The bench for United: Hubert Grazic, the goalkeeper, joined by Matthijs de Ligt, Aidan Heaven, Victor Lindelof, Casemiro, Toby Collier, Christian Eriksen, Alejandro Garnacho and Joshua Zirkzee. As for the away side, Leicester City and manager Ruud van Nistelrooy, Mads Hermansen starts in goal. It's a 4-2-3-1 formation with James Justin, Wout Faes, Caleb Okoli and Luke Thomas making up the back line. Captain Wilfred Ndidi starts for the first time since the 8th of December, and that 2-2 draw against Brighton alongside Bouba Soumaré in midfield. Jordan Ayew on the right hand side, Bobby De Cordova-Reid on the left, with Bilal El-Khanous in the 10 behind the striker Patson Daka. As for the bench, Jakub Stolacic is the goalkeeper, joined by Conor Cody, Harry Winks, Stefi Mavididi, Oliver Skipp, Woyo Koulibaly, Casey McAteer, Facundo Buonanotte and 15-year-old Jeremy Monga. who has the attention of the footballing world, according to his manager, Ruud van Nistelrooy. A 15-year-old that Leicester City would very much like to keep at the football club for the rest of this year and beyond. Old Trafford glittering under the lights for this FA Cup 4th round, with both sets of players in a huddle. Just a few final messages before they go into battle. The referee tonight is Michael Salisbury. He's given out 48 yellow cards in the 14 games he's refereed so far this season. There is no VAR in this game tonight. As Ruud van Nistelrooy returns to Old Trafford in the opposition dugout, will this Manchester United legend be able to guide this Leicester City side into the next round of the FA Cup? The theatre of dreams is set. What story of drama will it tell under the lights in this historic competition tonight? The road to Wembley continues. It's Manchester United versus Leicester City, and we are underway on BBC Radio Leicester. It is Manchester United who do get us underway in this game, in their famous red shirts, white shorts and black socks, and going back to front very quickly indeed before the Fox is able to clear. Leicester in all blue, kicking from right to left as we see it towards the Stretford end in this first half, and they're yet to have any real impact on the ball so far. They are pushing high here. Caleb Okoli steps into the midfield, but Rasmus Højlund able to pick up the pieces. Luke Thomas getting back 10 yards inside his own half, able to knock it out of play for a Manchester United throw-in. Good evening, Jermaine Beckford.
Good evening, how are we?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Great to have you here. You know what it's all about, scoring and winning at Manchester United in the FA Cup. What are the key things Leicester have to get right this evening?
Firstly, not make any silly mistakes and give the ball away in silly areas. Secondly, get the ball doing the work, and that's what you have to do. You can't take too many chances and give away too many opportunities in the final third. That's where you get caught out, especially against the sharpness of players like Ahmad and Højlund. You know, they've got explosive pace, and that's where we could find ourselves having a little bit of a problem defensively.
Well, a lot of this early game has been dominated by Patrick Dorgu, who just left a few stud marks on the right knee of Bouba Soumaré on this near side. The referee Michael Salisbury waited for a second before deciding to pull it back for a Leicester City free kick on the left hand side. It goes all the way back to Mads Hermansen, who goes to the right hand side. De Cordova-Reid winning his header halfway line, but down the line it goes from Leicester. A header in the midfield and out for a Manchester United throw on the far side, midway inside their own half. And the Foxes having to deal with a lot of early possession here. And actually quite interesting, Jermaine, is that this Manchester United defence has lined up in a different way, not the kind of way we were expecting really. Dorgu has started on this right hand side.
Yeah, as an attacking player, as a wide forward, it looks like he's got free rein to go up and down that right hand side of the pitch whenever he feels free. And it looks like he's quite sharp as well. He looks like he's got a bit of pace about him as well, doesn't it?
It does, and Mazraoui almost filling in that Martinez position on the left hand side of the back three at times, with Dalot playing a little bit higher. So maybe something that Ruud van Nistelrooy might not have been expecting this evening from Ruben Amorim, as Leicester try and keep possession here on the far side. James Justin fizzing a pass into the middle, where Wilfred Ndidi able to bring it under control midway inside his own half, inside right channel, making his return to the first team after injuring his groin against Brighton in that 2-2 draw. Ruud van Nistelrooy's second game in charge. Lenny Yoro being put under pressure here by Daka, who wins the ball back edge of the area. Now with De Cordova-Reid, corner of the box, right hand side, just lays it back for El Khanous. Ball with his studs, not once but twice. Level with the edge of the penalty area on the right hand side, is eventually tackled by Mazraoui, who was done with the games of Bilal El Khanous and stepped in quite aggressively. 0-0 it remains, with nearly 4 minutes on the clock, and they are 4 minutes that have flown by. This game has started, Jermaine, with quite a velocity to it more than anything.
Yeah, it has, and this is what we love about the Cup. The Cup games give you something completely different. Neither side want this to go to extra time or to penalties, and what we can see now is they're both going toe to toe.
And down the right hand side, Soumare's just giving this ball away here to Ugarte on the right wing for Manchester United. His pass backwards took a deflection off Ayew straight into the path of Daka, who gives it straight back to Ugarte on the right wing here for United. Bruno Fernandes calming things down in the middle, able just to the right hand side of the centre circle find Mazraoui on the left.
And that's exactly what I mean. That sums up what I was just about to say. Both sides are playing quite a high risk game. They've got players in the final third, they're moving the ball nice and quickly, but they're scruffy.
Well, Daka's been set away here into the penalty area left hand side by Soumare. He was dealt with well by Lenny Yoro, whose tackle fell to the feet of Nusan Ndorgu, able to put it out of play down the line as part of a clearance. But Leicester City having actually picked up some nice momentum in the last few seconds, just because of the way that Manchester United have turned the ball over more than anything.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that I've seen so far, and we've only been playing for 4.5 minutes, almost 5 minutes now, is Patson Daka's made a couple of great runs into the channels and put the two fullbacks on high alert. Get them turned, get them facing their own goal, running towards their own goal, which is where defenders desperately don't want to be. They want to be facing the opposition goal, not facing their own goal, because they don't know where the striker's going to be. And he's crept in a couple of times and gone blindside on them, of both of them, and won the ball back.
The voice of Jermaine Beckford, former Leicester striker, joining us on commentary duty here at Old Trafford on BBC Radio Leicester for the FA Cup 4th round. Ball set behind by Justin Nismet, set Daka away here, able to get away from Maguire, and Yoro sets it back for Jordan Ayew, who takes a strike at goal and is saved well by Onana. Looked like it may be heading into the Stretford end for a second, but it came curling and dipping back down, and Onana able to claim on his goal line 0-0.
That was fantastic. What a great pass that was from Justin in the right fullback position. Patson Daka, I just mentioned him running in behind the centre halves of Manchester United. He did it again, managed to hold the ball up, put the ball into Ayew, right into his path. Ayew opted for the shot. I was thinking maybe he could have passed the ball into Bobby Di Cordoba-Reid there, because he got inside the centre half. He got inside Mazraoui, sorry. And look, if you pass the ball in there, he doesn't actually have to get on the back end of it to be able to cause a problem or two. If he puts enough pressure on him, he could have been fouled. And look, you never know. You could ask the question.
You certainly could. 7 minutes played here at Old Trafford, under the lights in the FA Cup 4th round. It remains Manchester United 0, Leicester City 0. The third time that these two sides have met here at Old Trafford, and Ruud van Nistelrooy has been a manager in all three. 2 for Manchester United and now 1 here tonight for Leicester City. Dorgu has it halfway line. His throw-in was delicately placed back to him by Ugarte. Now with Harry Maguire at the heart of the Manchester United backline. Of course, played 76 times for Leicester City and a key figure for them in that period under Claude Puel and Brendan Rodgers. Wilfred Ndidi winning a free kick inside right channel, halfway into his own half, and takes the free kick quickly after being dragged to the floor. Backwards to Wout Fast, now with Okoli on the left hand side of the penalty area, finds Luke Thomas in all sorts of space. And that's the benefit of playing against a 3-4-3, is whilst there's lots of wide players there, Jermaine, actually the fullback, if he can move between the winger and the kind of right wing back, there's plenty of space there.
Yeah, and they're doing that really well, trying to exploit that area that you mentioned is vacant most of the time. The problem that we're finding is what happens afterwards, the next phase of play. It's going to waste, isn't it? They're not making the most of it just yet.
The floodlights bearing down on Old Trafford this evening onto a pristine surface in the Theatre of Dreams, and a few Leicester City fans to our right hand side. Just 1,300 have made the trip up from Leicester. They did have an allocation of around 8,000 for this game, but ticket prices, which many fans, including the Foxes Trust and Union FS, have shown real concern and disappointment with the ticket prices set by Manchester United for this FA Cup game, some of which were heading towards the £60 mark. So therefore a protest with their feet more than anything has led to only 1,300 Leicester fans being inside Old Trafford tonight. Away to our right hand side, tucked into that corner between the stand behind the goal, the East stand, and where we currently sit, the Sir Bobby Charlton stand. Big switch of play halfway line from Fernandez, able to find Dorgu here on the right hand side, controls with his left, down the line to Diallo, back heel, back to Dorgu inside the area. Good challenge by Akoli, right on the edge of the penalty area, whipped back in by Ugarte, takes a nick, up comes Hermansen, edge of the 6-yard box and takes well. 0-0, 9 minutes played.
Yeah, that's pretty decent from Manchester United. What they're doing, they're leaving the wide players really, really high, really wide. Dorgu or Dallo, when they've got the ball at the back. When Maguire picks it up, he looks for a pass into Fernandez, and as soon as Fernandez gets the ball out of his feet, he's looking for the big diagonal pass. And we mentioned it before. There's a humongous space down either flank, and that's where Manchester United are trying to exploit.
And it's where Bilal El-Khanous has picked the ball up just a few moments ago, eventually back with Wout Faes inside the centre circle, who instead goes square to Caleb Akoli, back in the team this evening. And maybe a point to prove under Ruud van Nistelrooy as Leicester's defensive woes continue, really. Plenty of goals conceded, including 4 against Everton last week under Ruud van Nistelrooy since he joined the club in early December. It's been a problem all season for Leicester City, and they are still searching for the answers.
I think one of the problems with that, one of the issues that we see is the centre halves and the fullbacks of Leicester City are just not conversing with each other very well. So they should be talking to each other all the time. Constant communication between the 4 guys at the back and Ndidi in the middle of the pitch, centre midfield position. But there's not enough. So when instead of all 4 of the defenders squeezing up at the same time, squeezing up to the halfway line or just to the edge of the centre circle, it's almost jagged at times, and that's down to a lack of conversation, a lack of communication. They're getting dragged out of position. The 2 centre halves at the moment, I'm looking at them, are both playing in the left back position.
Yeah, they are. That is exactly where they're stood, and actually you look at the swivelling of the heads maybe as to where that communication is going, and there isn't too much of it as Luke Thomas wins his header here against Diallo, where the ball bounced over with Ayew, corner of the box on the left, into Daka in the middle. He's having the shirt pulled off his back there by Harry Maguire, and then Bouba Soumaré bringing down, I think, Diallo in the middle.
Yeah, and this is a little bit more of what we want to see from Leicester. Ayew picking the ball up on the wing, being a little bit more direct, being a bit more aggressive with his running, trying to get into that 18-yard box, putting a nice little pass into Daka's feet. But look, Maguire, this is what we spoke about before. The physicality of Maguire is what you don't want to go toe-to-toe with. You don't want to get into a physical altercation with him because he's very, very strong. Try and stay away from him. Create a little bit of space between yourself and the defender. If you can't hold the ball up, if you can't spin the defender, just try and set somebody else, to give somebody else an opportunity to get the ball as well.
Well, Leicester have themselves a free kick here. It was good play by James Justin, who was really wrestling with Kobbie Mainoo, would not let him get away, and Mainoo, the Manchester United youth product, bringing down Justin, just pushing him to the floor. This is just under halfway inside the Manchester United half, inside right channel. Both Luke Thomas and Bilal El-Khanous are stood over this one. Bouba Soumaré, the last man back. So a right-footed and a left-footed option for Leicester here to deliver into the Manchester United penalty area. The red shirts lined up on the edge of the box. Luke Thomas leaves it. This will be El-Khanous then, right-footed, delivery towards the near post. It misses the first man only by a poor header from Højlund, picked up by Soumaré after cleared away inside the centre circle. 0-0 it remains, 13 minutes played, and Leicester in those opportunities, Jermaine, they just have to be better balls into the penalty area.
Yeah, they do. That was very disappointing, especially when you take into account all of the players that Leicester have managed to get into that 18-yard box of Manchester United, or just on the edge of the 18-yard box. All the big players were there, ready to attack the ball at the far post, but the crosses have got to be better, the set pieces have got to be better. Put the ball in the box. It's not that difficult to do, is it? Hit the far post and try and win a knockdown and the second balls.
Leicester in possession on the edge of their penalty area with Hermansen, and then Wout Faes' ball is just kept in by Hermansen on the byline. It was just skewed around the Leicester defender. Akoli lifts it down the line well. El-Khanous trying to help it on. Ugarte wins it back after just giving El Khanous a nudge after he went up for the ball. It was the dark arts done well there by Manuel Ugarte, the former PSG man in the midfield. Now with Diallo on the halfway line, right hand side, paint on his boots. Backwards to Ugarte in the midfield, who's able to square it up here for the left centre half of the three. Mazraoui on the left wing, turned round the corner by Diogo Dalot, and out for a Manchester United throw, a nick off a Leicester man. 0-0 it remains with just over 14 minutes played. Is this the kind of game you were maybe expecting in the first 14 minutes, Jermaine?
Yeah, it was very open, not very technical, a little bit scruffy at times. Neither side really dominating possession, getting the ball down, trying to move the ball, and the final pass, final cross, not really being up to standard, up to scratch. It's exactly what I was expecting it to be. We had a moment. Oh my goodness me!
You were right to pause there, because Wilfred Ndidi was tried a Trivela James Maddison-esque outside of his right foot pass on the halfway line as Diallo was lurking, and Caleb Okoli just had to lift it into the air to take the danger away from Leicester City in their back line for a second. Carry on, Jermaine Beckford.
Oh my goodness me, I just get my breath back. Yeah, it's little things like that I mentioned before. Don't take any silly chances. Be serious with it. Be sensible with your passes. Make sure the ball gets there. You don't need to do an outside of the foot pass from that position. Maybe just go back to phase, or go back to the goalkeeper. Don't try and switch the play with the outside of your right boot, especially when you know a player as sharp as Ahmad is on the opposite side. It was very fortunate that Okoli was on his toes and made sure to get there before him.
The voice of former Foxes striker Jermaine Beckford joining us on commentary duty tonight inside Old Trafford as El Khanous gets away here from Mazraoui. Was he fouled? Referee Michael Salisbury says yes. Just pulled back Leicester's Moroccan attacking midfielder on the halfway line right hand side to allow the Foxes another set piece, which Ndidi takes quickly with his left foot into the path of fullback James Justin, and Leicester able to recycle here in their backline under the glittering lights at Old Trafford, the theatre of dreams really setting the scene. Packed to the rafters once more. Leicester may have returned 6,000-7,000 odd tickets, but Manchester United never in doubt of selling out Old Trafford, even for an FA Cup 4th round game. But what Leicester have done in this opening 15-16 minutes or so has quietened that initial roar that Manchester United always seem to start with here. As Luke Thomas misses the ball here, Dorgu set away, does well to keep it in with his left foot down the right hand side, level with the penalty spot. Old Trafford stands, he pulls it back looking for Diallo, and Caleb Okoli did brilliantly well to get back in, and that goes out for the first corner of the game off of a stretching Caleb Okoli. 0-0.
Oh my goodness me. Thomas was very, very fortunate there that he reached for the ball, he overcommitted, and he missed it. Fortunately, Dorgu was a little bit wasteful with his final pass into the 18-yard box. That's something we can't afford to see. We can't afford to see the chances being taken.
Well, Diallo will take this corner from the right-hand side, right arm in the air, long sleeves, delivers in towards the near post, heads go up, and it's headed away by Patson Daka. Positioned himself very well on the edge of the 6-yard box. Lenny Yoro able to go backwards to Mazraoui here, and Leicester City position themselves just under halfway inside their own half to try and withstand another Manchester United attack. Dorgu here, who has caused problems so far in this game, into the feet of Diallo. His heavy touch is tackled by Patson Daka, wrestling around, and then Daka steps on the ball and just sends Diallo the other way, and Leicester able to recycle here. Bit of composure there from Patson Daka that allowed his team to get out. 18 minutes played, 0-0.
Exactly, you hit the nail on the head there. A little bit of composure. That's exactly what's needed in the middle of the pitch from either side, but especially from Leicester, because at the moment Bruno Fernandes, when he gets the opportunity to slow the game down and take a little bit of a touch and switch the play, he's doing it. Leicester City at the moment haven't been able to do that, haven't been able to get control of the ball in the middle of the pitch to be able to slow it down and pick out the passes well.
Listening to BBC Radio Leicester Sport for the FA Cup 4th round here, as Jordan Ayew is set away by Wout Faes inside left channel now. instead of going down the line to the overlapping Luke Thomas, instead goes inside to Soumare and Ndidi. Soumare backwards to Ayew here on the left-hand side for Leicester City, halfway into the Manchester United half. Akoli has it just to the left of the centre circle, breaks the line well, looking for Luke Thomas. Dorgu stepped inside. Referee Michael Salisbury thought about giving the free kick there, but Manchester United able to play on through an advantage, and it's at the heart of their defence now with Harry Maguire, former Leicester man, as we say, for just a couple of years between 2017 and 2019. And now United are giving the ball away again down their left-hand side with an El Kanous back heel, dragged it round the back of him. Now with Deco-Reid and helped on by Soumare. It's poor, it's not good enough from Bouma Soumare as Højlund wriggles away from Ndidi. And now with Amad Diallo inside right channel, 25 yards from goal. Dorgu arriving on the overlap. Diallo loses him as a decoy and plays a 1-2 with Mainoo. Diallo now to the right hand side where Dorgu's waiting. Mainoo for company. Luke Thomas brought Dorgu down, and that will be a Manchester United free kick. Dorgu played the ball inside. Mainoo spun away, and Luke Thomas just stood his ground. He's saying that Dorgu ran into him purposefully. But a Manchester United free kick, pretty much level with the edge of the penalty area on the right hand side, between the box and the touchline, and a chance for United to load the box. 0-0 with 20 minutes on the clock.
That was really, really sharp from Dorgu and from Ahmad. Both of them, as soon as they pick the ball up, they're very aggressive, very direct in their thought process, what they're going to do, where they're picking the ball up and where they're going to finish up. Their first thought is, can I take the player on? If not, they're looking for a 1-2 to get around them as well, and that's exactly what we saw there.
Well, Fernandes and Diallo are stood over this one on the right hand side, both of which have been star players for United this season. Diallo leaves it. Fernandes, who's got 11 assists, delivers towards Diallo, who's all free on the edge of the area. Striker goal. It takes a nick and loops over the crossbar for another Manchester United corner ball to be taken on that far side. A clever move, Jermaine, but Leicester City cannot allow Amad Diallo that kind of space on the edge of the penalty area. 0-0.
It was a clever move, but it was it's very disappointing defending from Leicester. It's very reactive rather than proactive, trying to get out. You see Diallo's coming inside onto his left foot, and the ball's rolling out to him. The ball's not even rolled out to him really quickly, it's gone out to him relatively slowly, and the reaction of the players to try and get out of Ayew, for example, it was almost, is it me, is it you, shall I go, yeah, I'll go and close him down. We need to be sharper, we need to see a lot more reactive than that.
Fernandes corner delivered, whipped towards the near post, cleared away by Leicester, picked up by Fernandes, level with the edge of the box, delivers low again to Diallo on the edge of the penalty area. His touch had to be taken inside. He drops it back here for Dorgu, right footed over the bar on the edge of the box, 19 yards out on his weaker foot. But again, lots of space offered to Manchester United on the edge of the penalty area, and that has started a little bit of a commission really between Ruud van Nistelrooy and his assistant manager Barry Murphy down on the touchline in front of us. Both stood pretty close in conversation. Why are Manchester United getting that kind of space on the edge of their penalty area? 0-0 it remains with 22 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, it's exactly what I just mentioned as well about Diallo picking the ball up on the edge of the 18-yard box. You've got to close him down. We know how good he is, arguably Manchester United's best player this season so far. And Dorgu, as we mentioned before, he's having a fantastic game, really, really good game. So we can't afford to let these players pick the ball up on the edge of the 18-yard box at all.
The first quarter of this game played as Dorgu wins an aggressive header there against Luke Thomas, who didn't know the Manchester United new signing was coming. Ugarte backwards to Mazraoui, who's pretty much on the centre spot, under pressure from Daka, tries to take the race, takes it and is able to keep the ball in possession here for Manchester United, with Dalot on that far side, who is hugging the touchline.
As is Diallo on the opposite side.
They have created this width, with Diallo just stood waiting for the pressure and the ball to come maybe. Here is Yoro, steps into the Leicester City half. Akoli drags Dorgu to ground, who had no hesitation of dropping to the floor. The man who signed for 30 million euros from Lecce just a few days ago. And a Manchester United free kick, pretty much dead on, halfway inside Leicester's half, on the cusp of the right channel. A one-man wall of Bilal El Khanous, long sleeves and black gloves for him. Bruno Fernandes lifts his right arm in the air, right-footed, delivers into a channel, looking for Højlund, can't get there ahead of Hermansen. He wasn't too far away though. Flung out a left leg on the corner of the box, left-hand side, and another clever set-piece move from Manchester United, almost catching Leicester out. 24 minutes played, 0-0.
Yeah, you can see that they've been working on that as well. Højlund's starting position just inside Ayew on the right hand side centrally of the pitch, made a great run. He's got that pace as well to try and get in behind the centre halves, and Bruno Fernandes, his delivery is usually on point, usually pinpoint, just off target. Fortunately for Leicester, kind of switched off a little bit and sort of waiting for something to happen. They thought it was going to get switched to the far post, but fortunately, that wasn't the case.
He has been a thorn in Leicester's side, Bruno Fernandes. In the 10 games he played against the Foxes before today, 5 goals, 5 assists. He always seems to have something to say. Leicester, though, bypass him here in the midfield with Jordan Ayew driving over the halfway line through the centre circle. Luke Thomas to his left, he's inside left channel, 25 yards from goal, drops it off to Soumare. Now with Thomas, Ayew on the overlap. Thomas goes inside, thinks about a pass, he almost loses the ball and then passes it out of play. Ruud van Nistelrooy clacks with those leather gloves down in front of us, but Luke Thomas on that occasion just maybe taking a split second too long to make a decision, make his mind up. And the Foxes give the ball back to Manchester United, and that's not what they want, Jermaine. They do not want to be chasing after the Red Devils this evening.
No, not at all. But if they can squeeze up and make sure that the two centre halves, as they currently are right on the halfway line and putting pressure on Højlund so that he can't run in behind, it's not a terrible thing. However, they need to make sure that when they do pick the ball up and they win the ball back, they've got to be aggressive and go forward with it, like this.
Good ball by Ayew to find Diko Devereed in the area, pulls it across. Is it tipped over by Onana? No, says the referee. It was well set away by Jordan Ayew, who just picked the ball up in the midfield after good work from the Foxes in Caleb Okoli and Luke Thomas to win the ball back. Dorgu dropped to ground. Maybe Salisbury, the referee, has got wise to Manchester United's new signing and his tactics to try and win free kicks, but Bobby Diko Devereed firing the ball over the bar as Daka was arriving. But good play and a good idea from Leicester. It remains 0-0.
Yeah, really, really well played there from Leicester. Ayew, I mentioned him a moment ago. I need to see a little bit more from him, be a bit more direct, and that's exactly what I want to see, exactly what he did just there. Great ball for Diko Devereed, who made a fantastic run in behind the centre half, in between the centre half and the fullback. He just needed to cut the ball across the box, keep it low, ping it hard and low, like he did against Spurs for Jamie Vardy's for the assist for Jamie Vardy. Do the same again today, but it looked like he just got underneath it. He was trying a little bit too hard, maybe to try and get a shot in on goal. Not from that sort of angle. It is very positive play though.
We have played nearly 27 minutes here at Old Trafford. It's Manchester United versus Leicester City in the FA Cup 4th round. Former Foxes striker Jermaine Beckford joining us on commentary duty, as you just heard there, this evening for what was promising to be a cup cracker. A Friday night game in the FA Cup. Manchester United, not the United we know. Leicester City coming out of in different form, looking to try and build momentum. A scalp on the line. United looking for momentum. A former legend returning, a former manager returning. There's so many subplots in this game, Jermaine. It does make you wonder whether it may be bigged up almost a little bit too much in the end.
Well, currently that's how it looks. But what Manchester United are doing really, really well today at the moment are, apart from Højlund, who's playing up front by himself as a 9, Ahmed Diallo, they've got Menu, they've got Dalot, who's the other one? Ugarte, Dorgu. They've got all of these players. They're just switching positions, constantly switching positions. So 1 minute it's Dorgu playing almost up front in the front 3, and then he drops back into right back position, and Diallo comes out here, and then Bruno goes through the middle, and then Ugarte goes out onto the left hand side. The rotation in there is so confusing, and at the moment, fortunately, Leicester have been able to read it. However, players like Ndidi, obviously we know that this is his first game back. I think it's since just the beginning of December. he needs to make sure he's switched on, and he's getting himself tucked in. He's battling away. He's given the ball away a couple of times, and I just think that's down to a little bit of mental fatigue because the game's been going on so quickly over the last 27-28 minutes. He's just trying to keep up. He's trying to catch up with the pace of the game. He will get there, but I just want to make sure that he stays switched on, and that's down to players like Sumer and FaZe and Okoli to talk him through it. Make sure that he's not over gambling, over committing himself too early, too soon.
Well, Wilfred Ndidi was just involved in a very big challenge on Hussein Mazraoui.
It was a fair challenge.
He did win the ball, took Mazraoui at the same time.
Bring back the good old-fashioned tackles.
That was a good old-fashioned challenge. Roy Keane is here tonight, and I think he would have been proud of that one as a defensive midfielder, I'm sure.
Was that the first time he smiled this season? He's seen a good tackle at last.
It was very strong. The referee, Michael Salisbury, called it up for a foul. Ndidi was replying with, "But I've won the ball." And it looked like a final warning from the referee as Dallo gives the ball away here to Sumare in the middle of the pitch, able to set Ayew away down the left hand side, drives over the halfway line towards the corner of the box, takes the touch with his left foot, long sleeves, black gloves, tries to go down the line, 2 Manchester United men with him, back to Thomas, bit of space to deliver, great ball, flicked over by Mazraoui and out for a Leicester City corner on that far side. Good cross by Luke Thomas, 0-0.
Oh, that's much better from Leicester City. Ayew doing exactly as we want him to do, picking the ball up, being forward thinking, being aggressive on this left hand side. He travelled 30-35 yards with the ball, getting the ball into a dangerous area, cut the ball back for Thomas on his strong left foot, put a lovely little cross in. The problem is there was nobody in the box in the area that he needed them to be. You're looking at Patson Daka, it goes over his head. You could argue Bobby D could overread at the far post. Maybe he should be a little bit more aggressive and go and attack the ball. He doesn't, he waits. Look, a corner's been won. If something happens off the back of this corner, then it was a great decision. If not, from me, I'm looking at it from an attacker's perspective, and I want to attack everything. Try and get on the end of it.
Luke Thomas stands over this corner from the right hand side. He scored a worldie against Manchester United at this end during COVID. He will take this corner left footed. It's in towards the near post, almost won by Ndidi there, who managed to get himself free. Jordan Ayew racing after this ball. He wants a throw in. Referee gives it the other way, and Manchester United have a throw in level with their own penalty spot on the right hand side.
Oh no, that should have been a corner. It came off Hoyland. Just watch it. Should have been a corner. It should have been a Leicester City throw-in. It came off Hoyland then. There's a little bit of grappling going on in the 18-yard box, in the 6-yard box. Ndidi and Hoyland having a little bit of a wrestling match, and Mazraoui gets a little bit of a head on it. The ball goes out for a throw-in. It should be a Leicester City throw-in, but it goes the other way. It's a shame.
Well, Leicester wanted a free kick there, halfway line on Luke Thomas, not given by the referee, and then Fernandez sets Diallo away. 1-2 with Mainu, falls back to Mainu from the deflection, and Leicester able to get themselves clear just with Bilal El Khanous. He's got Jordan Ayew with him. El Khanous has 4 Manchester United men trying to win the ball back. Back to Thomas on the edge of the area. Sumare, great feet, squares it up for James Justin. It's just a little bit behind the Leicester right back, and then Ruud van Nistelrooy sticks his arms out, just saying calm down and take your time. 0-0.
Yeah, that was really well played then. Leicester City picked the ball up, broke the play down. Sumare, great feet. The pass out to Justin, maybe should have put the ball 2 or 3 yards in front of him, and then Leicester City were on the attack, the offensive. However, still got possession of the ball, and that's the most important thing. Slowly building forward towards the Manchester United 18-yard box.
United, though, do have the ball back, well intercepted by Harry Maguire on the edge of the penalty area after Bouba Sumare tried to thread Patson Daka through. Now with Dorgu halfway line on the right hand side for Manchester United, and they're able to recycle the ball in their back line. United have won 16 of their 18 home FA Cup matches that they have played here at Old Trafford, drawing 2 in the process. As Harry Maguire did his old side a favour there, just lifting the ball out of play for a throw into the Foxes 5 yards into the Manchester United half on the left hand side. Luke Thomas, ball in hand. He's just carefully treading up the line, just nicking as many yards as he possibly can. Down the line to Jordan Ayew. A foul given against Patrick Dorgu after dragging Ayew to the ground on the left-hand side.
He's starting to get into the game a little bit more and more, Ayew, on this left-hand side, and I do want to see a little bit more from Bobby D. Cordova-Reid as well. The work rate's there. That's not in question at all, but maybe show for the ball a little bit more. I could throw that argument towards El Kanous as well. We know what they're capable of doing. We know they're good on the ball. They're neat and tidy. They're sharp, but we need to see a little bit more from them. Be a little bit more willing to get on the ball, get them turned, and look for the pass in behind towards Daka. We've not seen Daka on the ball for a little while either.
Free kick for Leicester then, just over halfway inside the United half. Thomas to take it from the left wing. This time it's high towards the back post and will go all the way through, and watched out by Dorgu on that far side for a Manchester United throw-in.
So that's disappointing, watching that back. The cross from Thomas is not great, don't get me wrong at all, but everybody in the box has got more than enough time to readjust and get around the back. Ndidi, for example, the ball starts off with Ndidi and Dorgu side by side, going for the ball, and then Ndidi gives it up. Keep on going, keep going. You're the captain today. Lead by example. Don't give anything up. Keep running, keep running.
Former Foxes striker Jermaine Bettford joining us on commentary duty inside Old Trafford for the FA Cup 4th round. It's Manchester United 0, Leicester City 0. We have played 35 minutes, just 10 to go until half-time. And the Foxes have held the Red Devils so far and have created a couple of decent opportunities of their own, really. United, though, we feel maybe just to the side on top, as Ndidi handballs inside his own half after Soumare slapped the ball against him. The referee says play on. It's now with D. Cordova-Reid 10 yards into the United half on the right hand side. El Kanous can't slide it through to Daka, picks up the seconds. Daka into Ayew. The pass wasn't good enough, and Lenny Yoro able to intercept and drive forward. United go back from Mainu to Harry Maguire, and that's where the moans from the Old Trafford faithful come into play. Now with Diallo, Dorgu waiting on the overlap. Diallo driving forward, this time drops it off to Dorgu, who was a little frustrated that the ball didn't come his way. Ugarte gets there ahead of Daka. Diallo moves into almost the centre of the pitch here, 25 yards out, squares it up to Fernandez on the far side. Dallo's waiting, level with the edge of the box on the left, tries to deliver right footed, cleared away. Fernandez heads it back towards referee Michael Salisbury, who
that's a great touch.
Brilliant touch, really, and set Mazraoui away. And really, the play should have been stopped there, and a drop ball for Manchester United. Salisbury says play on, and Dorgu's cross hits Luke Thomas on his studs and goes out of play for another Manchester United corner. It is their third of the game, and Diallo is coming over to take.
And what I'm seeing from this Leicester City side at the moment is really resilient defending. That was better. It's getting better. They're getting far more organised. They're not taking as many chances when Manchester United have got the ball on the edge of the, from about 25 yards out. This is looking good.
Diallo stood over this one. 7 assists so far this season. He'll take it left-footed from this right-hand side, delivers high towards the goal line where Hermansen takes and drops, and almost for a second Manchester United thought that they may well have themselves a tap-in. Højlund lurking, as was Ugarte. The Hermansen takes on the second occasion, and it remains Manchester United 0, Leicester City 0.
Oh, just watching that back, the corner from Diallo is a very, very good one, and not because of the pace that's on it, because there isn't much pace, but it gives Harry Maguire an opportunity to put a lot of pressure on Hermansen, and obviously there's no VAR, so if he drops the ball and Harry Maguire or somebody else gets a little tap on it and it goes in, it's all down to the referee's discretion. I don't think the referee would have. I think the referee would have given it had the ball dropped to a Manchester United player, and that's what I want to see a little bit more from Leicester as well. Challenge the goalkeeper. Put the ball right on top of the goalkeeper. We know that he makes mistakes. Challenge him.
Great ball by El Kanous to set James just in the way. He's driving through the heart of the midfield and the Manchester United backline. Goes to the right. D. Cordova-Reid cross looking for Daka. Cleared away. Justin trying to pick the ball up, but there is Fernandez, calm and composed, to go backwards to Dallo, and Manchester United play their way from left to right. Pretty risky, but it pays off in the end as Dorgu goes backwards to Maguire in orange boots, short sleeve. It's got half of the centre half look, hasn't he, with the short sleeves, but I'm not sure about the orange boots.
Yeah, black Adidas Copa Mundials, that's what he's missing, or some World Cups. Oh, times have changed there.
On the VAR point though, Jermaine, you talk about the fact that obviously it's not here tonight. Would that play a part maybe in the kinds of things that players could do, should be doing?
Oh yeah, today, absolutely, because it's not going to be pulled up. You know that if you challenge the goalkeeper a little bit more physically than you would normally in a Premier League game, it's down to the referee's discretion, and the linesman as well. They don't see everything, hence the reason VAR has been brought into the Premier League matches. We haven't got that here today in the Cup, thankfully, so the game goes back to being a little bit more authentic, a little bit more original, which is what I like. I like the physicality of the game. I like it when you could put in a 50-50 challenge and not have to worry about running the risk of getting sent off. That's part of football for me.
It's something I think is welcomed, but there is such a, not reliance almost, but an expectation that VAR will interrupt now. It almost does feel quite strange.
Yeah, and it's like you expect it to kick in. So every challenge, every shot, every goal, every corner, every free kick, you're kind of waiting for the referee to say, okay, let me have a look at this on VAR, or let the guys back at Stockley Park have a look on VAR and see if there's anything right or wrong with it. I don't like that. Let the game go. The game's about making mistakes, not only the players but referees, officials. It gives us an opportunity to have those conversations when we're having conversations with our friends, with our family members, or just debating it. That's the whole point of having a debate. You see something that I don't, I see something that you don't, and we debate it, we talk about it. You're not necessarily right, I'm not necessarily right, but we can have that conversation about it. Nothing in this world is perfect, and football is one of the things that is perfect by being unperfect.
Well, I might as well just go home now. You've summed it up.
See you in a bit.
Free kick for Leicester. Mads Hermansen lifts it forward. It's headed away by Dorgu. Underneath it is Ugarte, just trying to bring the ball back into Manchester United possession. Under pressure by Soumare. They're into El Khanou's great skill. Gets to the byline, pulls it back. There's Ndidi, and will it find its way in? It does. Bobby De Cordova-Reid celebrates as he gives Leicester City the lead. The Foxes, out of nowhere, have pulled it out the hat. Bouba Soumare with the pressure on Ugarte, and El Khanou's gifted space on the edge of the area, just dragged it around his man, pulled it back, and Ndidi's waiting. It was blocked initially, but there was De Cordova-Reid to get that final touch with 4 minutes to go until the break. Leicester City have the lead. Manchester United 0, Leicester City 1.
Oh my gosh, I absolutely love what I've just seen there. El Khanou's on the left hand side, picks the ball up, he drives really strong, positive. He pulls the defender out of his position, he lines him up, he says, which way am I going to go? Am I going to pass it back inside, or am I going to go on the outside? He decides to take it on the outside of Euro. Left foot, cuts the ball back behind Bobby De Cordova-Reid, and Ndidi by the penalty spot has a shot, hard and low. Mazraoui gets a little touch on it, but the first reaction, the quickest reaction, Bobby De Cordova-Reid, what a finish that was. Bounces off the keeper's feet, straight to Bobby De Cordova-Reid's head, heads it in, nice little nod. Leicester City 1-0, lovely jubbly.
And you talked earlier, Jermaine Beckford, about that gambling on the goalkeeper, something that Manchester United almost did with that cross by Diallo from the corner, but it's exactly what Bobby De Cordova-Reid did there.
Exactly. Listen, we mentioned it before the game started. We know what Onana's like. We know that he's capable of making a mistake or two. There, he saves the ball with his feet. I don't actually think he was at fault. He had a lot of players in front of him. He saves the ball with his feet. The ball comes out. As a striker, as an attacking player, you're expected to close the goalkeeper down just in case he makes a mistake, just in case the ball drops to his feet, or he tries to save it and then parries it. The ball's a yard, 2, 3 yards away. If you're on your toes and you're closing the goalkeeper down, you've got the advantage, the head start over the defenders. Therefore, all you have to do is tap it in, and we saw that today with Bobby. He was in the right place. He didn't have to do much. Just redirect the ball back into the back of the net. Absolutely fantastic.
He wheeled away in front of the Stretford end, didn't he?
We've all done that.
I think that's the point, Jermaine. We haven't, have we? We've not all done that. You have.
I can't help myself.
Leicester have got themselves another free kick here after Harry Maguire just dragged Patson Daka to the ground. I'd like to say rugby tackle-esque, but that's probably a little polite in honesty. Jordan Ayew stands over it, drills it towards the back post. Up goes a Manchester United head of Mazraoui to clear away, picked up by Ndidi on the far side. There's just a few moments to go until we've played the allotted time in this first half, and Leicester City have the lead in the FA Cup 4th round. And Ruud van Nistelrooy going in at the break. If it stays like this, Jermaine Beckford must be so pleased with his side. Not only did they weather that early storm of the Manchester United Old Trafford crowd, they've dealt with chances, they've defended well, they've escaped with a little bit of luck, a little bit of the rub of the green, and been able to take the lead.
Yeah, exactly that. And I'm just having a look at the stats now as well. The possession is split straight down the middle, 50-50. The expected goals, 0.04 for Manchester United, 0.84 for Leicester City. Leicester have had twice as many shots as Man United, and 3 on target as well. It's bonkers. It's bonkers. But this is exactly what we love about the FA Cup. Anything could happen.
Anything can happen. It's the magic of the FA Cup. As 1 minute is put on the board by the 4th official, Thomas Bramall. And Ruben Amorim stares down at the ground in fresh, bright white trainers and a puffer jacket. And just turns and walks from left to right, stalking his technical area. Ruud van Nistelrooy stood on the edge, purveying the scene as Leicester almost win that ball back there from Patson Daka, and a throw-in is given to the Foxes after it was taken off his toes. Bruno Fernandes complaining to the referee. And those Leicester fans to our right-hand side went absolutely wild when that first goal went in for Leicester City. Bobby De Cordova-Reid, the scorer. It's his second goal in a Leicester shirt. Of course, that first came for Leicester City in the 2-2 draw with Brighton and Hove Albion on the second game in charge for Ruud van Nistelrooy as the half-time whistle goes here at Old Trafford. A few boos in and around the Theatre of Dreams as Leicester City take the lead at half-time through a strike from Bobby De Cordova-Reid. Plenty of people heading to the concourses as the Leicester City players walk down the Old Trafford tunnel in that corner in front of the Stretford end with much happier faces than those in red shirts. Half-time here at Old Trafford, Manchester United 0, Leicester City 1. All the analysis from former Foxes striker Jermaine Beckford and your matchday presenter Jack Rafferty.
Owen, thank you very much indeed. Jermaine, with seemingly nothing happening for the majority of the first half, I was all ready to ask you various questions about who would be the happier manager, tactical battles, but Leicester City getting themselves the lead. How chuffed will Ruud van Nistelrooy be with that?
Oh, he'll be over the moon with that, especially taking into account the game hasn't been one for the ages. It's going to be one that will be forgotten in no time at all by both sets of fans. Neither side have really dominated possession, got the ball down, moved the ball, created any real great opportunities, any real great chances. The crosses has been the passing and the crossing in the final third have been wasteful. But it's been a surprise. It's been a surprise that it has been so bad.
With that in mind then, how crucial that Leicester City did take their opportunity with De Cordova-Reid?
Oh, I think it was vital, and it came at a great time as well. Closing into half-time, what was it, on 42, 43 minutes, give or take. That's going to change the whole outlook of the second half. I was watching some of the midfield players from Manchester United over the last 10 minutes of that first half, and they were almost going through the motions. They weren't trying 100%, it didn't look like. They weren't sprinting all over the place. They weren't trying to get on the ball. They weren't trying to create opportunities where they could switch the play or get the ball up to Højlund, who has been really, really quiet today. They were just going through the motions. So I think by Leicester City scoring today, just before half-time, they're going to come out the second half, Manchester United will come out the second half with a little bit of a bee in the bonnet, a little bit of frustration that, I don't know, maybe they've allowed Leicester to create more opportunities. Ruben Almiron on the touchline, I was watching him as the half was playing out, and he was disappointed. He was crouching down, he had his hands in his head in his hands on numerous occasions. He was screaming directions and information to all of the players on the pitch, and it didn't look like anybody was really taking it on board. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw maybe 1 or 2 changes at half time.
A couple of the things you said in the first half, about halfway through you said you wanted to see a bit more from Bobby D. Cordova-Reid, get himself involved.
Yep.
You also said you wanted to see Leicester City players gambling on potential mistakes or rebounds from Andre Onana. This is why we got you in, your expert analysis, because that's exactly what we saw for the goal, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And look, before the game had kicked off, if I was playing against Manchester United, which I did I've done before, I've done research. Yeah, rumour says. I've done research on whoever's playing in goal, and I look at their attributes, their strengths, their weaknesses, the height of the goalkeepers as well, which is something that plays into it. And I'll say, right, well, as a shot stopper, I don't actually think he's fantastic. So if one of our boys has a shot, or I have an opportunity to have a shot, I'm going to close him down as well, just in case. You never know. Look, he may save every single shot, parry it around the corner, push it over the top, save it. You know, anything could happen. He could have a worldie of a game, but I'm gonna close him down just in case. Bobby D. Cordova-Reid closed him down today just in case. And what happened? The ball fell right to his head. I was going to say feet then. Fell right to his head. He was in the right place at the right time. He didn't have to do anything. He didn't have to readjust his body, change direction, nothing. It was just right in front of him. A little header, a little nod in. He didn't even have to jump off the floor. It was perfect. It was meant to be. And that's the reason why you close the goalkeeper down.
Is that just pure instinct from him?
Yes. That was pure instinct. And it's one of those things. People say you can't really teach instinct. Well, I understand why they say it, but I disagree. Repetition, if you do it over and over and over again, eventually it will become subconscious. You'll stop thinking about, should I do it? Should I have to do it? And you will just do it. And that then becomes instinct.
The voice there of former Leicester City striker Jermaine Beckford with us at Old Trafford. 1-0 Leicester City leading at the break. Elsewhere in terms of local sport, Leicester Riders, close game between them and the Surrey 89ers in the first leg of the semi-final of the SLB Cup. Surrey 89ers leading 73-72 at the moment. Riders, of course, aiming for their first final of the season after missing out in the semis of the SLB Trophy earlier this campaign. The second leg is at the Mattioli Arena on Sunday. Don't forget an East Midlands derby in the rugby tomorrow. Neighbours Nottingham in town for Leicester Tigers in the Premiership Rugby Cup. Tigers still sitting third in the pool, but a win will give them some hope of squeezing into the quarterfinals. Pete Hewitt says he's picked a team mixed with youth and experience.
And again, that's part of development as a young kid, is you're not throwing them out there with other young kids. You're throwing them out there with experienced players who've been there and done it before, and they can guide them and nurture them in the heat of the battle, and you'll see a team that's reasonably experienced but also has a blend of youth.
And in case you needed another reminder that Leicestershire is the sporting capital of the world, Melton Mowbray's Amelia Coltman won the European Championship silver and World Cup bronze in the skeleton in Norway this afternoon. That takes her from 5th to 4th in the overall World Cup standings. Now, keeping it with football, Leicester City women also in action this weekend. They travel to face Manchester City in the 5th round on Sunday. City's women reached the semi-finals of the competition last season, but Amandine Mikel has a tough job on her hands this time as focus remains on keeping their place in the WSL. Midfielder Ruby Mace was missing from the 4-1 defeat to Everton last weekend due to suspension, but is expected to return to face her former side. Head of that one, she's been speaking with our City Women's reporter Zoe McGrady, starting with a bit on how her career got started to becoming a Lioness.
So I started off when I was really young, just kicking a ball around with my brother. Football was pretty much embedded in my family. My dad used to play football when he was younger, and through to my brother and then to me. I started off at West Ham when I was about 5 or 6. Before that I was in just a normal boys team. I was at West Ham for 1 year, and then I moved to Arsenal when I was 7 until I was 17. I really enjoyed it there. I learnt so much, and yeah, it was such a good place to grow up with football. And then I moved to Manchester City from 17 till 20. That was a really tough and really good experience for me. And I just needed somewhere that I was going to get a little bit more playing time, which is why I made the move to Leicester. And the club's ambition and what they had in store for the long term really interested me. So that's why I'm here now.
Let's take it back. You grew up in London then. Did you support a certain team? What were your early memories of the teams that you were watching on the telly and playing in the boys' team?
Yeah, I think the teams I supported, my whole family was mainly Arsenal. So I guess I supported them growing up, but I don't really support a team too much. I do like the way Manchester City men play. They're really interesting. My early memories, probably, I don't even remember. That's probably so early. I just enjoyed like the fun side of the game and playing with a smile on your face and not taking it too seriously when I was younger and just having fun.
Talk about the influence of your dad and your brothers playing football, and what was life like growing up, the family dynamic? Do you come from a close family?
A little bit. I did come from a little bit of a broken home with my parents splitting up, but they get on really well, which has helped me through the years. And I think having that football passion has helped with my whole family, because we all fulfill off of that. Football is very important to my family with everyone, and having a brother and a dad and a mum and a sister who really support me and are interested in my football career really brings us back as a family.
Do they come to watch you? Like, how do they view how far you've come? Because for your brothers, that must be crazy for them, watching their sister on an international stage on top flight of women's football here in England. Do they come and watch you?
Yeah, they don't miss a game. They get to every game they can. It's a little bit harder for my brother because he lives in America, but he's up at 6 a.m. watching my games, which are at 2 p.m, and he doesn't miss a game. My sister, she just loves it as well. She loves to support me, and she's been one of my biggest supporters. And my mum and dad, like I said, would never ever miss a game, and they're so proud of me. And I remember my brother saying that he couldn't make it, so he's proud that someone in the family can wear the surname on the back of the shirt.
Wow, what an amazing line. They must be so proud of you. And everything you say there, it feels like football was always the path for you. Women's football is seeing this huge growth over recent years. So did it feel realistic that you would get to this point when you were in those young age groups?
I think people don't realise how hard football actually is, and how much mentally it's hard as well. And everybody wants to be a footballer, girl or boy who like football. They want to become a footballer, and it's not just as easy as putting on your boots and playing a game. There's so much more to it, and I think that's where I've learned so much about myself growing up in football, because like I said, it's so much harder than just kicking a ball around on a pitch. Like, there is a lot more to it, and I think the women's game has grown so much, and it's given such a better platform for younger girls to get involved. And when I was younger, I never had that. I was around boys the whole time, and I loved it because I got along with the boys well, and they respected me because I could actually play football. But other than that, I think it was hard growing up being a footballer.
Leicester City women's Ruby Mace there speaking to Zoe McGrady. We did approach Man City for some comment on that. Still waiting to hear back. They take on Manchester City in the 5th round of the FA Cup on Sunday. Here at Old Trafford, Leicester City leading at the break against Manchester United. We'll have the story of the first half in just a sec.
On BBC iPlayer.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Michael McIntyre is back.
I'm going to send a text to all of your contacts.
Please, don't do that.
Is he laughing?
It all seemed like a good idea when I was first asked. Now it seems like a very bad idea.
The new series of Michael McIntyre's Big Show. Watch on BBC iPlayer.
Every match live.
BBC Radio Leicester Sport.
As Ruud van Nistelrooy returns to Old Trafford in the opposition dugout, will this Manchester United legend be able to guide this Leicester City side into the next round of the FA Cup? The theatre of dreams is set. What story of drama will it tell under the lights in this historic competition tonight? The road to Wembley continues. It's Manchester United versus Leicester City, and we are underway on BBC Radio Leicester. set behind by Justin. This might set Daka away here, able to get away from Maguire, and Yoro sets it back for Jordan Ayew, who takes a strike at goal, and is saved well by Onana. Looked like it may be heading into the Stretford end for a second, but he came curling and dipping back down, and Onana able to claim on his goal line, 0-0. Luke Thomas misses the ball here. Dorgu set away, does well to keep it in with his left foot down the right hand side, level with the penalty spot. Old Trafford stands, he pulls it back looking for Diallo, and Caleb Akoli did brilliantly well to get back in, and that goes out for the first corner of the game off of a stretching Caleb Akoli, 0-0.
Oh my goodness me.
Good ball by Ayew to find Deco Devereed in the area, pulls it across. Is it tipped over by Onana? No, says the referee. It was well set away by Jordan Ayew just picked the ball up in the midfield after good work from the Foxes in Caleb Akoli and Luke Thomas to win the ball back. Dorgu dropped to ground. Maybe Salisbury, the referee, has got wise to Manchester United's new signing and his tactics to try and win free kicks, but Bobby Deco-Devereed firing the ball over the bar as Daka was arriving. Free kick for Leicester. Mads Hermansen lifts it forward. It's headed away by Dorgu. Underneath it is Ugarte, just trying to bring the ball back into Manchester United possession. Under pressure by Soumare, though, into El Khalou's great skill. Gets to the byline, pulls it back. There's Ndidi, and will it find its way in? It does. Bobby Deco-Devereed celebrates as he gives Leicester City the lead. The Foxes, out of nowhere, have pulled it out the hat. Soumare with the pressure on Ugarte, and El Khalou's gifted space on the edge of the area, just dragged it around his man, pulled it back, and Ndidi's waiting. It was blocked initially, but there was Deco-Devereed to get that final touch with 4 minutes to go until the break. Leicester City have the lead. Manchester United 0, Leicester City 1.
That is how it finished up here at the end of the first half at Old Trafford. Leicester City leading Manchester United at the break. The Red Devils out onto the pitch. We're still awaiting the Leicester City players. And Jermaine Beckford, a little observation from you at half-time. You think Manchester United might be planning a change?
Yeah, Dorgu hasn't come out for the second half, it doesn't look like. And it looks like Garnacho. Yeah, there you go. Garnacho's coming out, running along the touchline, and already stripped off, getting ready to come on the pitch.
Would you, if it is Dorgu that isn't continuing, would you be surprised by that, given the impact he had in the first half?
Yeah, I didn't think he was bad at all. I thought he gave a really good option on this right hand side. Obviously we know that he's left-footed, playing on the opposite side, playing fullback, but he had free reign to run up and down this touchline, and I thought he did pretty well. Maybe the pace of the game has caught up with him a little bit. I don't know, but we know what Garnacho's about. We know what his strengths are. He likes to get on the ball. He likes to make things happen. He's sharp, he's creative. He'll be direct as well with his movements. Every time he picks the ball up, he'll be trying to play forwards, whether it's a pass into Højlund or going for goal. That's what Manchester United need, because they've been really, really flat.
Garnacho onto the pitch. The Leicester City players out now as well, so I'll hand back to your commentary team. Former City striker Jermaine Beckford and Owen Palmer-Atkin.
Thank you very much, Jack Rafferty. Jack back at full time with all the analysis of this game, as Leicester City will hope in the next 45 minutes they can put themselves in the hat for the 5th round of the FA Cup and knock out Manchester United along the way. Plenty of dishevelled faces on Manchester United facing journalists in the press room at half time. Plenty of smiles on the faces of Leicester City ones, as the Foxes have taken advantage of what has been a bit of a sloppy performance in this first half by the Red Devils, and in this second half they'll hope that continues. At half time, Manchester United 0, Leicester City 1. Bobby Deco-Devereed with the opener, and now the Foxes have got us back underway. James Justin giving the ball away to Dallo. Will this pop in the middle for Soumare? It does, just to the right of the centre circle, backwards to Ndidi. Now Deco-Devereed, the goal scorer. James Justin and El Khalou's combining. Leicester have managed to get their foot on the ball early in this second half. Kicking from left to right as Deco-Devereed tries a ambitious curling cross from the right hand side, midway into United territory. Just gets it all wrong and into the arms of Onana. The Foxes in all blue, as we say, kicking from left to right towards the east stand to our right hand side, where the Leicester City fans are housed in the corner as Rasmus Højlund steps over the ball and Wout Fast falls for the dummy. Højlund left hand side into the penalty area. Soumare getting back, pulls it across, and there's Akoli just to lift it away. Akoli then falls over after being tripped by goalkeeper Mads Hermansen. Diko Doverie can pick up the pieces at right back, and Leicester eventually launch it forward through Wilfred Ndidi. Manchester United though trying to find a little bit of ascendancy in this second half. 1-0 it remains. Good evening, welcome back Jermaine Beckford.
Yeah, that was really good play from Højlund, the centre forward there, but really defensively poor from Wout Faes. Absolutely sold a dummy and went for it. I saw it coming from a mile off. The way Højlund shaped his body, you know he's not going to try and control it. You know he's going to let it roll beyond him. Why go for it? Stand your ground, stand still. If he stands still, he wins the ball. And that's what he didn't do. He's taking chances. He's expecting and anticipating something going wrong, something else happening. Sometimes read the game for what it is. Don't try and be smart to overthink it.
Well, Leicester have themselves a throw in here as Lenny Yoro just passed the ball out of play, level with the 6-yard box. El Khanous with a chopped pass, almost Cristiano Ronaldo-like in its form. As Leicester pick the ball up here, do they, in the middle of the Manchester United half-dead centre. Bruno Fernandes just getting the better that time of Jordan Ayew. So a quick run through the teams as Diallo is left in a heap by Luke Thomas, and the referee takes his time before giving the free kick 15 yards into the Manchester United half on their right-hand side. So the home side, Manchester United, Onana in goal, a back three at the minute of Mazraoui, Maguire and Yoro. Dalot is playing on the left-hand side of the midfield with Ugarte and Mainu in the middle. Fernandes and Garnacho supporting Højlund, with Diallo, as you say, hugging that touchline on the far side. The Leicester City team, Hermansen in goal, back four of Justin, Fars, Akoli and Thomas, Soumare and Wilfred Ndidi in the midfield, the captain, with Ayew, Diko Doverie and El Khanous in behind striker Patson Daka. We have played nearly 5 minutes in this second half. It remains Manchester United 0, Leicester City 1, and after again an early flurry, Jermaine Beckford, this game seems to have settled back into the rhythm that we saw in the first half.
Yeah, it has, and it looks like Manchester United are starting to get a little bit more control of the ball in the middle of the pitch, especially. They've got the threat now of Garnacho out on this left-hand side, and that's a threat enough as it is. You know, just knowing that he's there, he doesn't actually have to get on the ball, but knowing that he's there, he's available, it could be the problem.
Garnacho's control on this near side after the pass from Amad Diallo was not enough to keep the ball in play. Leicester City throw-in halfway inside their own half on this near side here at Old Trafford. The lights bearing down from those real steep stands that just hang over a carpet-like pitch, which Leicester City have taken full advantage of this evening so far, leading by a 1-0 and looking to find themselves into the 5th round of the FA Cup. Luke Thomas gets a challenge in, sliding challenge on Amad Diallo after what seemed, Jermaine Beckford, for a second he may well have sold himself short, but did well to recover.
Yeah, indeed. Do you know what I quite like? The first, Thomas has been caught out once or twice, but he's not let that stop or affect him. He's been really aggressive up against Diallo.
Here come Leicester, El Khanous, inside right channel, 25 yards out, strike at goal, and just drags it wide in the end. Ruben Amorim dropped to his knees as Leicester City were played through there after United gave them the ball back. But El Khanous unable to make it count on that occasion, dragging it wide. It remains Leicester leading by a 0-0.
Yeah, I briefly mentioned that Diallo is really struggling to shake off Thomas on this left-hand side or on the right-hand side, but that's given El Khanous a great opportunity to pick the ball up in the middle of the pitch, drive forward. The Manchester United defenders, all of them, backed off and just gave him an opportunity to have a shot. It was a poor shot in the end. It's something that he should have been taking a little bit more time and a little bit more care, but it's very positive from Leicester.
Manchester United have just been given what Bobby Diko Doverie said was a very soft free kick. Garnacho
Oh my gosh.
Was racing back towards his own goal. Leicester players surrounding him. Didn't even drop to the ground really, and the referee gave a free kick.
Yeah, he didn't drop to the ground because he didn't really get hurt. That's why. It's little things like that about Garnacho that really frustrate me. We all know how much of a good player he is and how bright his future can be if he does the simple things well. He's got a lot of movements and mannerisms similar to Cristiano Ronaldo when he was younger. But one of the things that I dislike about what he does and about how he plays is he gets a little touch on the side of the shin and he falls down on the floor and starts rolling around. It doesn't hurt that much. You've won the free kick, get up, get on with the game.
I didn't think we were going to see this kind of decision, but Hussein Mazraoui has just been penalised for a foul throw in professional football in 2025 at Old Trafford.
Yeah,
it's quite something.
It was interesting. It was. That's the sort of thing my 11-year-old son does on a Sunday when he's playing Sunday League with his friends.
So the throw-in comes in, and then the Manchester United fans asking for a foul throw on Luke Thomas after they thought he might have been on the pitch when the throw came into the penalty area. It was level with the edge of the box on the left-hand side for Leicester. Manchester United clear. Ball comes backwards towards the United back line. Daka helps it on, but Maguire able to be the calm and composed figure as Luke Thomas steps in there on Diallo, who watches it across his body. Good play from the Manchester United winger. Finds Mainu on the far side, twisting and turning around Caleb Okoli. Okoli drags him to ground. It's going to be a Manchester United free kick. The Red Devils asking for a yellow card that never came, but Fernandez takes the free kick quickly. Mainu into the area, pulls it back. Indeed, he helps it on, as does Soumare. El Khanous on the edge of the area with a header just to lift it past Yoro. Picked up here by Mazraoui with a strike from distance, and he was 45 yards out, and he just drags it wide of Mads Hermansson's goal. Well, Leicester City still leading by a goal to nil. We have played nearly, or just gone, 53 minutes.
Little things like that are why Kobbie Mainoo is in the team. Absolutely fantastic footballer. He picked the ball up, dropped the shoulder, sold Okoli, and managed to find his way into the 18-yard box on the right-hand side. However, the disappointing part of it was his distribution in the final third, and that's what I mentioned at half-time. The problem in this game for both sides is the distribution, the final pass, the final cross, or the final shot. And that is exactly it. That summed it up. Great football, followed by terrible finishing.
Oh, well, El Khanous has just wriggled away here from Ugarte. Slides through, Deacon-over-Reed on the right-hand side. Good teasing ball, and underneath it is Mazraoui. Has he put it out of play for a Leicester corner? No, helped on by Ugarte down there, and then it is out for a Leicester City throw-in. Level with the penalty spot on this near side for James Justin, in front of the 1,300 Leicester City fans who are making their voices heard. Played 54 minutes. The throw-in hits the shins of Maguire. It's now with El Khanous, lays it back to Justin. El Khanous once more, right on the right wing. Steps inside, 1-2 with Deacon-over-Reed. Almost got himself away from Ugarte. And then that's a strong challenge by Wout Faes on Højlund, just pushing him to ground. Harry Winks is getting ready to come on. Ruben Amorim is chasing after the ball. Bruno Fernandes taking the throw-in quickly to Dalot here on the left-hand side, who then makes the overlapping run, the Portuguese international. Inside he goes to Højlund. He's backing into Caleb Okoli, dead centre. Tackled by Okoli, and then Soumare helps it on here for Bilal El Khanous. Daka makes the run into the right-hand side channel. Maguire gets there first. It only falls to Bobby Deacon-over-Reed, and Leicester continuing to showcase their possession in this game. Manchester United has just, and the fans away to our right hand side have all risen to their feet. Is that maybe a Leicester City fan in and amongst the crowd? I think it might be causing some issues.
Yeah, it is. It was a cheaper ticket.
Yeah, well, here is Diogo Dalot winning the ball off of a loose pass from Ndidi, and Garnacho skips around James Justin in towards the penalty area on the left hand side, pulls it back on the edge of the area. Will it fall to Fernandes? Takes it with one touch, and Ndidi following, and his strike is blocked by Wilfred Ndidi, the Leicester City captain, and out of play for a Manchester United throw. Old Trafford roaring down onto the men with shirts in red.
And that's exactly why Garnacho's in the team. That's why he got brought on at half-time. The first thought, as soon as the ball came to him, can I take James Justin on? The answer was yes. One touch inside, touch outside, and he's off.
Diallo into Mainu, back heel on the byline towards Diallo once more, but Luke Thomas intercepts. Koulibaly and Harry Winks are going to be brought on here, and there is a stoppage of play from referee Michael Salisbury. For a Leicester player injured inside the penalty area. Winks just having a few final movements and stretches. Wilfred Ndidi back to his feet, and he is the man who will be substituted here. Off goes Wilfred Ndidi, on coming Harry Winks. The second change, off Luke Thomas. Coming on is Wuyo Koulibaly, who is going to get the biggest share of minutes he's had so far since joining from Parma in the January transfer window. What do you make of those changes, Jermaine Beckford?
I think they're two very good changes. Look, we spoke before the game started about Wilfred Ndidi being out since the beginning of December, and it's the 57th minute now, going into the 57th minute. So to get almost an hour into Wilfred Ndidi's legs in the manner in which he did as well, he's been chasing around the place, he's been changing direction, he's been getting a load into his legs. That's what you want, that's what you need. Don't overexert him, because he's been out for quite a while. Build his fitness back up, build him back into the games, and that was a really good substitution. The second one, Thomas, I think that was the right option as well, because Diallo's starting to get into the game just a little bit more. He's getting a little bit more confident, running at Thomas as well. So, to see that change, I think is a beneficial one for Leicester.
And what we do know about Wuyo Koulibaly, having not actually seen too much of him in a Leicester City shirt at least, is that his key profile is big, strong, pacey, and defending actually being the forte of what he does.
Exactly, and when you've got a player like that, as an attacking player, if you know you're up against a player like that, you're less likely to pick the ball up and want to drive past him and run beyond him, because you know it's going to be really, really difficult. So this will be a really interesting half an hour now, seeing how this matchup pans out.
Voice of former Foxes striker Jermaine Beckford there. Diallo having his first run here against Wuyo Koulibaly, ends up giving the ball away to Patson Daka, and Jordan Ayew able just to slide it down the line into a channel. But Leicester now being put under significant pressure under the lights at Old Trafford in the FA Cup 4th round by Manchester United, and that pressure will continue to roll forwards. And frustrating, I can imagine, from a striker's perspective, Jermaine. Someone like Patson Daka at the top end of the pitch tonight in this second half isn't really going to see too much of the ball, you wouldn't expect.
No, he's on the ball now, but that's pretty much going to be the extent of him being involved in this game. It's going to be a selfless game from Patson Daka today, being 1-0 up away from home in the at Old Trafford as well. Look, it's not always going to go your way. What you have to do is make sure you put the work in, the work rate, work effort. Don't stop working, don't stop running, don't stop hassling the defenders and the two centre halves, the two centre midfield players as well. Make it as difficult as possible, because Manchester United have to come out and have to go for the game. Leicester City don't have to do that.
Patson Daka just trying to turn the ball around the corner to Bilal El-Khanous, shanked it, but it went back to Bobby D. Cordova-Reid, who plays a neat 1-2 here on the halfway line with Harry Winks, who's able to set El-Khanous away, level with the edge of the area, delivers into the box. Daka arriving at the near post, just tried to get across the broad frame of Harry Maguire and didn't quite get the contact he was looking for. And now Manchester United looking to come forward. Bruno Fernandes with a left-footed midfield splitting ball to the right-hand side, where Kobbie Mainoo able to pick up possession here with Diallo. Plays a neat 1-2. Here is Mainoo once more, trying to stand up Bouba Soumaré, who came across, did his defensive work well, and then is able to skip around Mainoo into the feet of Jordan Ayew at left-back for Leicester. And the Foxes able to play their way out here from Koulibaly into Winks, who was in all sorts of space in the midfield. And the Foxes are very much in control in this game. After Manchester United having that flurry of possession, that real pressurised situation, they have completely dropped off, and Leicester City have had a huge amount of sustained possession now, Jermaine.
Yeah, and do you know why? It's because Harry Winks has come on, and what Harry gives you is energy in the middle of the pitch. He doesn't stop moving, he's always on the bounce, he's always on the buzz, and that's what you need. You need a player like that in a game like this.
Well, the Olays have come out from Leicester, the Leicester fans to our right-hand side, and El-Khanous just jumped into a challenge there with Harry Maguire and won it, and is able to bring the ball back here for Leicester City. Fast into Soumaré inside the centre circle. Leicester having the share of it here at Old Trafford in the FA Cup 4th round. James Justin wins a throw-in off of Garnacho, just flicking the ball down the line. Took a bit of a bobbly first touch, did Justin. As the Foxes line up all in blue. United in their red shirts, white shorts and black socks. A sight all too familiar for the eyes inside of Old Trafford, the theatre of dreams. And I always feel, Jermaine, the floodlights just make that red look more red here.
I thought you were going to say the floodlights make football look better.
They do, I think.
Yeah, do you know what? I used to love playing a midweek game in an evening. Absolutely amazing. Under the floodlights, regardless of where you are, it just gives it a different feel, a different energy. I used to love it.
Go on.
That was a great opportunity for Ayew to slide the ball through then, but that's one of the things about Ayew's game that irritates me a little bit. When his fullback, it doesn't matter who it is, Koulibaly or Thomas or Justin, it doesn't matter. When they make a great overlapping run and they're in and he decides not to pass it, it's so frustrating and so infuriating. One of the wide players need to have a word with him about situations like that, because today it's happened 2 or 3 times. Great opportunities as well to get in.
Leicester, the way they are moving the ball round here at Old Trafford,
confidence.
It's just it's full of confidence, and it's infuriating the Manchester United faithful.
Yeah, and you can see Ruben Almiron on the touchline as well. His hands are going up, he's frustrated, he's annoyed. He's like, guys, squeeze up, get in front of them, get in their faces, get in these areas, get in these positions. And you know, it's testament to Leicester City and how well organised and how well drilled Leicester are today.
We played nearly 63 minutes here at Old Trafford. It is Manchester United 0, Leicester City 1. The Foxes really growing into this second half, and the feeling, the tense feeling inside Old Trafford just beginning to maybe work against these Manchester United players, as Amad Diallo bringing a ball under control that was switched from left to right by Bruno Fernandes. But Woyo Koulibaly straight across to launch himself into Diallo and put the ball out of play. Another change here, a second change for Manchester United. Off goes Kobbie Mainoo. He will be replaced by Joshua Zirkzee, and that is a attacking change for Ruben Amorim, and in a showcase of intent, Jermaine Beckford, as to what he wants in this game.
Yeah, look, Zirkzee is far more attacking minded than Kobbie Mainoo. Is he the answer? No, he's not the answer long term for me. But at the same time, look, in a game like today where Manchester United are starting to dominate possession a little bit more, they're getting the ball in far more creative areas and positions, you'd rather have your attacking players on the pitch, because their natural thought process and natural reactions and instincts are to pick the ball up and look forward and drive forward, whereas Kobbie Mainoo, as good as he is defensively as a defensive minded midfield player, offensively that's not his strong point.
Ugarte slides Garnacho through inside left channel. Garnacho in the area and lifts it, does he? Over Mads Hermansen. Manchester United think the ball is in, but that's a goal-saving challenge. On the line, it hits the bar and Hermansen takes. No goal for Manchester United just when they thought they'd got back in this game. And who is it? It's Caleb Okoli with the heroics on the line. That's quite outstanding defending. Manchester United 0, Leicester City 1, and Caleb Okoli punches the sky.
Oh wow, what a tackle that was, what a block. Wout Faes, brilliant closing down of Garnacho. He managed to get a little touch on it. The ball bounces up and over Hermansen. What a great clearance that is from Okoli, on the line, sliding 1 foot up in the air like a karate kick, but on his bum. And he clears it off the crossbar back into the goalkeeper's hands. Absolutely fantastic, and that for me is as good as a goal, if not better in this moment, because the game is starting to turn. And if Manchester United had scored in that moment, you would have to say, I fear that they would go on to get another goal because of the energy, because of the way the game has panned out. But what a stop that was.
It's outstanding from Caleb Okoli. Actually comes off his shin pad, the way that he just hooked his leg around it. The Foxes now are trying to attack down the left-hand side with Patson Daka. He's right in the corner, being put under all sorts of pressure, just trying to keep the ball here for Leicester. And as the Sir Alex Ferguson stand and that corner just towers over him, he is able to win a Leicester City throw-in right in the corner. What was brilliant to see more than anything from that. Not only the outrageous clearance off the line from Caleb Okoli, but the passion with Woyo Koulibaly afterwards. Just the look on his face, he was almost celebrating. As you said, it's as important as a goal, but he was celebrating like a goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, my job is to score goals, and I get a buzz off of that. Defender's job is to stop the opposition from scoring goals, and he's done that absolutely fantastically well. He's having a really, really good game, incidentally. So naturally, he's going to celebrate exactly the same way as an attacker would celebrate when they score a goal. I'm over the moon for the guy. Brilliant, brilliant block.
Well, Manchester United have the ball at the heart of their defence on the edge of the centre circle with Lenny Yoro. On the left-hand side, he rolls the ball into the path of Dalot. It was a bobbling pass that he had to control first before passing backwards to Maguire. Ball turned around the corner here, picks out Højlund. Caleb Okoli trying to get back. Koulibaly with the cover. Now with Diallo on the right-hand side. Koulibaly over for company and tackles brilliantly first against Diallo. Picks up the seconds, does the Manchester United winger. Mazraoui's ball, looking for Zirkzee, cleared away, edge of the area, picked up again by Yoro. Now we've got Garnacho on this near side, just trying to get himself around of De Cordova-Reid, does brilliantly well. That might fall for Zirkzee, and then it is put in. Garnacho, with fast feet and a burst of pace, gets himself to the byline, pulls it across, and Zirkzee was there to pick up the seconds and fire into the roof of the net, and Manchester United have their equaliser, and it is game on. Manchester United 1, Leicester City 1.
And that's exactly what I was talking about Garnacho being the one that comes on and creates things and makes things happen. He's picked the ball up on this left-hand side, and what did he do? What does he do? His first thought is, can I drive? Can I overlap? Can I take the defender on? He takes him on really, really well on the outside, gets a nice little cross in. You have to say, defensively, it was really, really good initially from Leicester City. Bobby De Cordova-Reid tries not to let him get past him. He does get past him. Højlund with a little back heel, blocked by Wout Faes on the about 4 or 5 yards out. The ball ricochets and lands right to Zirkzee, who's free. 7 yards out, open goal. Very, very simple, straightforward finish. Follow the ball, follow the goalkeeper, close the goalkeeper down. That's what we said at the beginning of the game, and he's done that as well. Really, really well. Good finish, 1-1.
Manchester United not happy here because Zirkzee just dived, in the opinion of Michael Salisbury, the referee, after getting a little bit of pressure from Bilal El Khanous.
He went down very soft.
He did. And Leicester were given the throw-in the end on this near side. So we have played nearly 69 minutes here at Old Trafford as Winks gives the ball away, picked up by Ugarte. Here's Højlund, all sorts of space, inside left channel, goes wide looking for Garnacho. It's behind James Justin, but the England international able to get there first ahead of the Argentine winger. The Red Devils have a throw-in level with the penalty spot on this left-hand side, inside Leicester's half. Another almost foul looking throw-in from Dalot on this near side. Long ball lifted over the top by Maguire into Dalot. Leicester substitutes Wante offside, not given by the assistant referee on the opposite side here at Old Trafford. Yoro into Maguire to the left of the centre circle. Now Mazraoui under pressure from Jordan Ayew on the halfway line, has to spread it to the right hand side. You said just a few moments ago when Caleb Okoli made that outrageous block, Jermaine Beckford, that you were worried Manchester United may well come back into this game. Do you still share that concern now? As Garnacho steps inside onto his right foot, and his effort was curling, but only into the Stretford end and closer to the corner flag, and Leicester survive a bit of pressure there from the Red Devils. It remains 1-1 between Manchester United and Leicester City, but the question, Jermaine Beckford, do you share that concern still?
Yes, I do, because every time Garnacho's picked the ball up, and they're looking for him every single opportunity they get as well, by the way. Every time he's picked the ball up, he's just thought to himself, what am I going to do? I'm going to go one-on-one against the fullback. It doesn't matter which side he's on, whether he's on Manchester United's left or the right. The confidence of this kid is phenomenal. He believes in himself. His self-belief is out there. Is absolutely outrageous. So he's picking the ball up and he's taking the defenders on every single time, every opportunity, every chance he gets. And 9 times out of 10, he's getting beyond the fullbacks, getting beyond De Cordova-Reid. And that's what Manchester United brought him on for. That's the type of player he is, and that's what Manchester United have been lacking today. A player that's going to pick the ball up and say, do you know what, I'm going to be a leader, I'm going to pick the ball up and drive, I'm going to create something, I'm going to make something happen. And without him, they wouldn't have had the chance not too long before the goal, you know. So yeah, he's proven to be a little bit of a problem for Leicester.
19 minutes to play. Manchester United 1, Leicester City 1. Here go Leicester into the area with Bilal El Khanous. He was defended well by Joshua Zirkzee, and then El Khanous with a sliding challenge on Harry Maguire, and they high five the pair as an apology from Bilal El Khanous, who may well have slipped there, but still with a late challenge on the former Leicester defender. And there will be another Leicester City change here. Casey McAteer is readied on the sideline, and he will replace Bobby De Cordova-Reid, who opened the scoring in the first half here in the 42nd minute for Leicester City. He makes way after scoring his second Foxes goal for Casey McAteer. Academy product from 8 years old. And what he will offer, Jermaine Beckford, is that pace down this right-hand side that may well just cause Manchester United a few problems.
Yeah, and that's what we need to see as well, because at the moment, we mentioned before, Manchester United are really starting to dominate this game because there's no real threat, there's no real outball for Leicester City, and the pace, as you mentioned there, of McAteer is something that's going to have them cautious and thinking about it.
There's 72.5 minutes on the clock now. Remember, a reminder here on BBC Radio Leicester Sport that if this does end all square, it will go to extra time and penalties. Potentially another 30 minutes to be played at the end of this one, unless one of these two sides can score again at the very least. And if the two sides cannot be separated after 120 minutes, the lottery of a penalty shootout awaits. Ugarte, just to the left of the centre circle, just switch of play. It was towards Diallo. Koulibaly got there and just did enough to, it looked like, guide the ball out of play on that far side, Jermaine Beckford, but it is a Leicester throw.
Yeah, no, he didn't get a touch on it there. But what Manchester United are doing really well, they're getting the ball at the back. Harry Maguire, for example, he's popping it out to the left back position, Dallo, who puts it in the middle to Bruno Fernandes. The ball comes back out to Yoro or someone, and they look for the big switch on the diag.
Here come United, pull back here looking for Garnacho. It's well defended by Leicester City once more. Winks able to get away to El Khanous, and now with Casey McAteer, who puts his head down, drives into the ground just to try and get Leicester some yardage in this pitch. And quick feet by Soumare, just enough to stop the press of Amad Diallo, and Leicester able to recycle in their back line, leading by a goal to nil in this game until Joshua Zirkzee scoring his first ever FA Cup goal.
What I like so far about Leicester in this second half, since they've conceded, they've not rushed. They don't seem like they're panicking very much either. They're slowing the game down. And look, this place, Old Trafford, when Manchester United have just scored and they've equalised the game, it's usually bouncing and loud and roaring all over the place. And the way Leicester have conducted themselves, the players, how they've conducted themselves, is fantastic, because they've done the simple things really well. They've made the game relatively boring to quieten down the fans a little bit as well.
Garnacho killing a ball from Fernandes dead, gets to the byline, pulls it back again, only as far as Soumare on the edge of the area. And the frustration from the Red Devils fans is that there was no one arriving on the edge of the box for Manchester United. Zirkzee though wins it back here for Koulibaly. Here's Højlund, squares it up for Garnacho inside the area on the left hand side, gets to the byline again, and is well challenged by a sliding James Justin, out of play for Manchester United's fourth corner of the game. 1-1.
Little things like that really, again, it frustrates me, because stop trying to play out from the back. Sometimes be simple, keep it simple, put the ball in the channel and play percentage football.
Over on this near side is Bruno Fernandes in front of the Stretford end, which has such a way of sucking the ball into the back of the net. The captain Fernandez, right-footed, low one towards the edge of the area where Garnacho was waiting, but intercepted by Patson Daka, and Leicester have a 2-on-1 here. Daka racing forward, he's got El Khanous with him, tries to slide El Khanous through. Mazraoui across, who challenges Bilal El Khanous, wins the ball, but Ruud van Nistelrooy sprinting and jumping down the touchline, wanted a free kick for his side. Not given. 15 minutes to play. It remains Manchester United 1, Leicester City 1.
Oh, Patson Daka released the ball a little bit earlier.
Now long ball forward, looking for Dalot, who takes it in his stride. Corner of the box, left-hand side. This one opening up in classic FA Cup fashion. Laid back by Dalot to Fernandez. 5 goals against Leicester in 10 games before today. Switch of the play, looking for Diallo. Across comes Koulibaly, but the curl on the ball will just watch that one out of play for Leicester's new arrival in the January transfer window. Goal kick for the Foxes, 1-1.
Oh, I was saying, Patson Daka picked the ball up in the middle of the 18-yard box, broke through the middle of the pitch with El Khanous not too far in front of him, but the gap started getting bigger and bigger. El Khanous had the pace, put the ball in front of him, give him something to chase after, but he didn't. He held on to it a little bit too long. The frustrating thing is, if he was able to give the ball to El Khanous nice and early, he would have been able to open his legs up a little bit more and get a little bit more pace in his own movement and possibly create an opportunity where, the 1-2 is on. But he held on to it a little bit too long. Great tackle from Mazraoui to win the ball off El Khanous, and get rid of the great counter-attacking opportunity that Leicester City just had.
The voice there of former Foxes striker Jermaine Beckford here on BBC Radio Leicester Sport and BBC Sounds to bring you dedicated coverage of the FA Cup 4th round. A totally different performance by Leicester City today compared to the one we saw against Everton away from home last Saturday, where the Foxes were 2 down inside 5 minutes. And the Foxes have just won themselves the ball back here, but then Daka intercepted by Mazraoui, who drives down the right hand side for Manchester United. The Foxes looking at the watch as Daka stays down. Here's Mazraoui delivering to the area. Okoli away, will fall to Lenny Yoro. Daka still down holding his face. Yoro just trying to play the ball through Michael Salisbury. It's now with Garnacho, who's got a one-on-one with James Justin, and he's dealt with brilliantly at the first attempt by James Justin. Just stepped in to win the ball and challenge, with El Khanous then driving into Harry Maguire and Bruno Fernandes. The ball bobbles to Garnacho. He uses Maguire as a decoy. Played back through by Dalot. Here's Garnacho, hits the side netting, went for the near post. Hermanson stood up tall. Daka's still down, and it's a goal kick for Leicester City.
Oh my goodness me, that would absolutely do my head in. Player like Garnacho, as good as he is, manages to find himself in after a lovely 1-2 with Diego Dalot. He tries to sell the goalkeeper with his eyes and go near post. If I'm in the 18-yard box, I'm screaming at him, cut the ball back. This is coming from a player who he's young, he's hungry, he's eager to earn his name, he's eager to show everybody his capabilities. I'm looking at that. Diallo is open inside the 6-yard box. All he has to do is cut the ball across the 6-yard box, and it's 2-1 Manchester United. There's no way he's going to miss. There were 2 players closing in on the far post. That is greed, and that is frustrating. You can see the reaction from some of the other players. They're super annoyed with that.
It was just that extra touch that Garnacho took to try and take him towards goal, that had he played it across the 6-yard box, Diallo had the pace and the run on Koulibaly, as you mentioned. Zirkzee was asking for it. Højlund found himself in the back of the net, screaming till he was red in the face.
Listen, I don't mind if you're attacking players, your wide players or your centre forward, pick the ball up in areas like that and try and score. I don't mind that at all. I'm a forward, I'm an attacking player. I've done that 1,000,001 times, and I'll do it 1,000,001 more times. But the difference is, you have to hit the target. You have to score, especially in a situation like that, in an area like that. You can't afford not to hit the target. That is really wasteful.
Well, Patson Daka has had to leave the pitch here because of that injury that he sustained. There's going to be a change with Daka replaced, and on comes Facundo Buonanotte. So Leicester, without a recognised striker on the bench, now have bit of thinking to do. Is Buonanotte going to lead the line here?
Yeah, it looks it. He's taken up position right at the top of the spear, the number 9 position.
It's not a position we have seen Buonanotte utilised in. Ordinarily a winger, attacking midfielder, but now leading the line with Ayew, McAteer and El Khanous in support. But he does know where the goal is. We saw that in the opening part of this season. Racked up 5 goals pretty quickly, and then has, after the sacking of Steve Cooper and the introduction of Ruud van Nistelrooy, had his minutes limited. Leicester though picking the ball up here with Winks, and a neat interchange between Winks, El Khanous and Buonanotte. It ends all the way back up at Mads Hermansen. What do you get at the top end of the pitch with Buonanotte compared to Patson Daka? Because the obvious thing you lose is pace. So what do you gain, Jermaine Beckford?
You gain a little bit of creativity, trying to get on the ball, get the ball to feet, the movement as well. But the movement that we're going to get from Buonanotte at the moment is down the tunnel. He just had a little shove from Maguire there, but the movement you get from Buonanotte is more towards feet, 2 feet and lateral movements rather than running in behind. And it's a different challenge for himself as well, because again he's up against a really, really physical centre half in Harry Maguire, who's not going to give him an inch. And any 50-50 challenges, you would have to say you favour Harry Maguire in those instances, especially against somebody as I don't want to call him fragile, because he's not fragile at all, but as small as Buonanotte is. But this is where Leicester need to get on the ball and move the ball to his feet.
Well, he is leading the line, the Argentinian, as Koulibaly with another excellent challenge there on Amad Diallo, and then a rushed challenge through the middle of the park from Ugarte on Harry Winks. Harry Winks just stood up, jumped up and spun around in the air as he dropped to the ground. And is that going to be the first yellow card? It is for Manuel Ugarte.
Look, watching it back, he sort of jumps in with 2 feet. He wins the ball clearly, but I think it's the motion of jumping in with both feet off the ground. That's the issue. and he gets megged as well. But it's little things like that. You know, as a fan, and I know as an ex-pro, if you dive in like that, if you jump in like that with both feet off the ground, you're going to get booked minimum. What is the point? What are you doing? Frustration aside, be smart. Think about your movement. Think about what you're doing.
That is yellow card number 10 of the season for Manuel Ugarte, as he makes career appearance 229 tonight, the Uruguay international. As both of these sides look for a late winner at Old Trafford in the FA Cup 4th round. It is Manchester United 1, Leicester City 1, and we have just a few minutes remaining. 84 minutes have been played. Well, Leicester are rattling, maybe the fair word to say, rattling the cage of Manchester United at the moment, with small tactics of having 2 balls on the field that is just slowing this United pressure and attack down, with Bruno Fernandes in the midfield, just to the right of the centre circle. Big switch of play, Dallo on the overlap, gets around James Justin on this near side, pulls it across, and there's Soumare arriving on the edge of the box ahead of Xerxes to clear away. Picked up by Lenny Yoro on the left hand side, El Khanous over with him, and just as Lenny Yoro just tries to skip around James Justin, he puts out a right foot and puts it out of play for Manchester United's 5th corner in this game, and then lifts his arm to the Stretford end to try and get them onside as well. Corner Manchester United. Bruno Fernandes stood over this one. 11 assists so far this season, 9 goals to boot as well. Lifts his right arm in the air in front of the Stretford end, delivers right footed, in swinger, Hermansen comes, and it's put over I think by Caleb Okoli. The 2 high five as Manchester United get a 6th corner, again from the same side, again Bruno Fernandes with another chance at this one. Under the lights, takes it short, into the path of Garnacho, corner of the box, left-hand side, lays it up here for Diallo, now with Mazraoui, backwards to Fernandes. The Manchester United crowd will lose their heads pretty significantly had that fallen to a Leicester City man. A waste of a corner. Bruno Fernandes makes it worthwhile here and delivers into the area with a dangerous looking ball. Leicester struggle to clear, but eventually they do with Mazraoui and now Ugarte on the right hand side of the centre circle in the Leicester half. Now with Diallo driving at Koulibaly, corner of the box on the right hand side, steps onto his left foot, lays it back up for Bruno Fernandes inside right channel, big outstretched left leg by Jordan Ayew, and then the slide challenge of Facundo Buonanotte only helps it to a red shirt. Leicester really trying to hold on here. It will be a Leicester City throw on that far side. The assistant referee can't make his mind up. How do you see this one playing out in these final 4 minutes of regulation time plus added time, Jermaine Beckford?
Based on what I'm seeing so far, especially in this last 5 minutes or so, it's just going to be Manchester United attack after attack after attack. But that's based because of the attacking options Leicester City have got on the pitch at the moment. You know, there's no recognised number 9, as you mentioned before, so the threat of running in behind is not necessarily there. McAteer is on the side, playing on the right wing. He could be the outlet. He's the outlet ball, but his starting position's got to be really aggressive and quite forward thinking for that to be the case. Koulibaly's done really well up against Diallo as well since he's come on, so I've been really impressed with him so far.
He's forced Diallo back here. This will be a delivery from Ugarte. It's driven to right to left to find Garnacho, level with the penalty spot, steps inside onto his right foot, strike at goal, right down the throat of Mads Hermansen, who dropped to his knees and took it cleanly into his chest. It remains Manchester United 1, Leicester City 1.
Bruno Fernandes again hitting a fantastic switch of play, and that's been the game plan from Manchester United today. They've been thinking, right, well, instead of us trying to break Leicester City down and playing cute football in the middle of the pitch, if we could create 1 or 2 or 3 little triangles, pass it in triangle positions, triangle movements, what that does is it draws the Leicester City players in towards us, and then we leave 1 or 2 players out wide for a big diagonal switch, and the pace of the players Manchester United have got playing in the wide areas is what's causing the problems.
Well, Leicester are struggling to get their foot on the ball here, and a looped header over James Justin has just found Garnacho, drilled it left-footed towards the edge of the area where Soumare was waiting expertly again. He drives forward, Zirkzee brings him down, referee says play on, Bouba Soumare tackles Zirkzee on the floor, but Manchester United still have the ball with Lenny Yoro. Is he going to be tackled here by Bilal El Khanous? The tackles are flying in, the referee blows the whistle. And Bruno Fernandes just is urging Maguire and Yoro forward as he wants to try and deliver this towards the edge of the penalty area. Michael Salisbury screaming at Facundo Buonanotte to move away. Free kick taken quickly, square by Fernandes to Maguire to his right, and then breaking a line to Ugarte. It's back with Fernandes on the edge of the centre circle. The tension building inside Old Trafford as we begin to enter the final minute of regulation time. Fernandes with the ball, lifted, curling ball to find Garnacho, kills it dead, edge of the penalty area on the left hand side, drifts inside, his delivery right footed is cleared away by the header of Wout Faes. El Khanous can't pick it up, and Manchester United are really pushing hard here at the end of this game. Fernandes' ball is intercepted by Justin inside the penalty area, and then El Khanous is pushed to the ground by Lenny Yoro, and that will be a Leicester City free kick in a right back position, and a welcome sigh of relief. Jermaine Beckford, 1-1.
Yeah, really well defended from Leicester City there. Everybody behind the ball. Justin reading the ball really well. El Khanous manages to get himself in front of Yoro to win the free kick. It's smart play. He doesn't... the thing is, right, El Khanous knows he's not going to be able to get the ball under control and make something happen. He's not going to be able to play out from the back or anything like that. But what he does really smart and intelligently is he gets the outside of his right foot on the opposite side of the ball to where the defender is, and gets his body in the way as well, which the only thing the defender can do then is go through him and foul him. Really clever play.
Casey McAteer almost sent Ayew away there in behind the Manchester United back line, so much so that Ruud van Nistelrooy had his head in his hands. He knew how close that was, as El Khanous, does he get himself away there from Yoro? He does, but the recovery run from Dalot is good, and back to goalkeeper Onana it goes. There's going to be 3 minutes added on at the end of this game. If there's no goal in the next 3 minutes, this game is heading for extra time. And we've played nearly a minute of those already. Ball by Maguire, just lifted forward from the halfway line. It's headed by Caleb Okoli, out of play for a Manchester United throw-in. Taken quickly backwards towards Mazraoui, 5 yards into Leicester's half on the right-hand side. No one is heading to the exits here at Old Trafford. Long ball forward, it's straight down the heart of Leicester's defence, and Mads Hermansen comes out and quite comfortably and confidently controls with his chest.
That was brilliant. It's like rolling back the years and having the sweeper keepers. Is exactly what he did. Really well controlled on the chest, nice and calm, nice and chilled out, really well played. But I think we can see now in this last 10 minutes or so, Leicester's game plan is to slow the game down a little bit.
Well, McAteer racing after Dalot here, has to go back to Onana, who clears left-footed. Will that go out of play for a Leicester throw? Justin heads it inside to Winks under pressure from Xerxes. Winks just plays it out of play, and Garnacho takes the throw-in very quickly to Xerxes. Again, it looked like more of a foul throw. Garnacho doesn't get around James Justin. The referee, Michael Salisbury, had a second to think about that and wasn't going to blow his whistle, then was, then wasn't, and then did. Manchester United free kick.
Yeah, he said it was for a handball. It didn't look like a handball. Garnacho tried to flick it one side of Justin. Justin turned his back, and I don't think that hits his arm. I don't think that's handball.
We have played 2 minutes of the 3 added on at the end of this game. It's Manchester United 1, Leicester City 1. Fernandes with a dangerous looking ball. There's Maguire, and there's the winner! Manchester United win the FA Cup 4th round against Leicester in the final minute. A delightful free kick from Fernandes left hand side, and it's a powering header from Harry Maguire at the back post, who wins it against his former side. Manchester United into the hat for the 5th round, and after all of Leicester's good work, they are heartbroken. Just seconds remain at Old Trafford. It's Manchester United's night. It's Manchester United 2, Leicester City 1.
Oh, what a cross that is from Bruno Fernandes. And who else but big Harry Maguire at the far post with the header. But my question is, it was a really, really good cross, don't get me wrong. Really good free kick. But Hermansen, his starting position's fantastic, right? He's on the edge of the 6-yard box. And where the ball ends up is on the edge of the 18-yard, right at the edge, the corner of the 6-yard box, sorry. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking the goalkeeper could have come and claimed that. Stop that whole situation from happening. Not necessarily catch it, come out, punch it, because his starting position is really, really good. He retreats and he gets himself into a position where when Harry Maguire heads the ball on the corner of the 6-yard box, the goalkeeper's borderline on his line. It makes it much easier for an attacking player to score when you're on your line as a goalkeeper than it does if he's further out, because that closes the gap down. That for me is poor goalkeeping, a poor goalkeeping decision.
A change for Manchester United as Manuel Ugarte is replaced by Casemiro. Leicester get this game back underway. They have just a few seconds to try and get themselves an equaliser. Mads Hermansen's ball forward is intercepted though by Bruno Fernandes, and here is Diallo on the right hand side. Garnacho free at the back post if he can find him. Diallo driving forward around Ayew, taking on Koulibaly into the area. Here is Amad Diallo, and he just puts it wide. And that will probably be that for this game in the FA Cup 4th round. Harry Maguire, who played 76 times for the Foxes between 2017 and 2019, wheeling away in front of the Stretford end. That will be the remaining memory. There's the full-time whistle. It's finished. Manchester United 2, Leicester City 1 in the FA Cup 4th round. And the Foxes bow out in the 4th round. Manchester United march on in their FA Cup defence. The Foxes, so much to show for in this 90-minute period where they left everything on the line. Davis clearances off the line. There was bobbly goals, big challenges, yellow cards, and in the end a late winner. fitting of the FA Cup tie, and so many FA Cup ties that have been played at Old Trafford before. But Leicester City will feel heartbroken, disappointed, gutted as they head back down the road to the East Midlands, as Ruud van Nistelrooy, on his former stomping ground, going round every single Leicester City and Manchester United player before heading back down the tunnel. Full time here at Old Trafford. Manchester United 2, Leicester City 1 in the FA Cup 4th round. And Jermaine Beckford, a gutting way to lose this game.
Yeah, it is indeed. And one of the interesting things about when the full-time whistle went, I was looking at the benches between the Manchester United and the Leicester City benches, and there wasn't anything between the coaches of both sides towards each other. However, the Leicester City coaches were going absolutely mental to the fourth official, and I think they were pointing out the fact that they think the winning goal was offside. And having watched it back a couple of times on the replays, I think they're right. I think the Manchester United players, not even one or two of them, maybe three or four of them, were all offside. Had we had VAR, which I was quite happy not to have before the game started, that would have pulled it up. The game would have been finished 1-1, and we'll be looking at extra time or penalties.
Clearly the Leicester players won't know yet, they will see it later on, but does that add to the level of frustration when it is such a late winner, and to know that actually probably you've done enough to get it to extra time? How disappointed will the Leicester players be with that?
Do you know what, at the moment it was a great performance from Leicester City. I thought defensively they were relatively resilient, really well organised, well drilled. It was a complete contrast to the performance we saw in the last game. However, that being said, they're going to watch the goal back, whether it's in the changing rooms shortly, on their phones, or on the coach on the way back. They'll watch it back, the highlight reel, and they'll all see it, and that's when it will kick in, and they'll be fuming, they'll be absolutely frustrated with it. But again, you can't do anything about that now. It is what it is. The moment's been, it's gone. I think Leicester City played really, really well today, and if they're able to take any of that momentum they built during the 90 minutes of this game, before the winning goal went in against them, into the next couple of games, it's going to make for an interesting conclusion to the season.
So despite the result and despite being knocked out, for you, are there positives to take from tonight?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Look, defensively, Leicester this season have been poor. There's no other way of wording it. Let's not beat around the bush. But today, they looked really, really good. Look, I'm talking about a team that conceded 2 against Manchester United. However, one of them should have been ruled off for offside. If that happens during the season, taking a point against Manchester United during the Premier League season, I don't think that's actually a bad point at all. We're talking about the cup game. It's disappointing not to go into the hat for the next round. However, that performance, there's lots of positives.
The voice there, former Leicester City striker Jermaine Beckford, with us on BBC Radio Leicester Sport, taking us through full time, getting all the analysis. Don't forget, you can get in touch with us at BBCRL Sport, is where you'll find us on Twitter. 08000 321 333 is the number. You can send us a WhatsApp, you can send us a voice note as well too. But in the end, disappointment for Leicester City, having been beaten in the FA Cup. Harry Maguire with a late winner for the home side.
Free kick for Leicester. Mads Hermansen lifts it forward. It's headed away by Dorgu. Underneath it is Ugarte, just trying to bring the ball back into Manchester United possession. Under pressure by Soumare, though, into El Khalou's great skill. Gets to the byline, pulls it back. There's Ndidi, and will it find its way in? It does. Bobby De Cordova-Reid celebrates as he gives Leicester City the lead. The Foxes, out of nowhere, have pulled it out the hat. Bouba Soumare with the pressure on Ugarte, and El Khalou's gifted space on the edge of the area, just dragged it around his man, pulled it back. Ndidi's waiting. It was blocked initially, but there was De Cordova-Reid to get that final touch with 4 minutes to go until the break. Leicester City have the lead. Manchester United 0, Leicester City 1. Caleb Okoli trying to get back. Koulibaly with the cover, now with Diallo on the right hand side. Koulibaly over for company and tackles brilliantly first against Diallo, picks up the seconds, does the Manchester Manchester United winger. Mazraoui's ball, looking for Xerxes, cleared away, edge of the area, picked up again by Yoro. Now we've got Nacho on this near side, just trying to get himself around of De Cordova-Reid, does brilliantly well. That might fall for Xerxes, and then it is put in. Garnacho, with fast feet and a burst of pace, gets himself to the byline, pulls it across, and Xerxes was there to pick up the seconds and fire into the roof of the net, and Manchester United have their equaliser, and it is game on. Manchester United 1, Leicester City 1. Hernandez with a dangerous looking ball, there's Maguire, and there's the winner. Manchester United win the FA Cup 4th round against Leicester in the final minute. A delightful free kick from Fernandez left hand side, and it's a powering header from Harry Maguire at the back post, who wins it against his former side. Manchester United into the hat for the 5th round, and after all of Leicester's good work, they are heartbroken. Just seconds remain at Old Trafford. It's Manchester United's night. It's Manchester United 2, Leicester City 1.
Yeah, it had to be the former Fox, Harry Maguire, didn't it, with the winner right at the end. Debate over whether it was offside or not. Come and get involved in that debate if you'd like to. At BBCRL Sport is where you can find us on Twitter. 08000 321 333 is the number for WhatsApp. You can send a voice note by doing that as well. Send the word Leicester to 08000 321 333 and then your voice note, and we will get it on the air. Jermaine Beckford, from a player's perspective, how will they be feeling in that dressing room right now, do you think, with the late goal conceded?
Oh, it's gut-wrenching. They'll be so frustrated. 92nd, 93rd minute, they were doing really, really well up until that point, and it hurts. And we're watching the replays back, and there's 4 Manchester United players, including Harry Maguire, who's starting in an offside position when the free kick's taken. Again, when they watch that back, they'll be fuming, because defensively they kept an amazing line, a really, really nice line, a really high line, and a really organised line defensively, which made the Manchester United players go offside. But the disappointing thing is the linesman, he didn't see it. He should have seen it. That's his job. In a situation like that, you have to see it. You can't miss it. It's so straightforward. It's so easy as well, because it's not like the game's flowing naturally. There's no change of direction, a quick change of direction or anything like that. The starting position, when the free kick's taken, you've got 4 Manchester United players starting in an offside position. Not one of them gets back onside before Harry Maguire heads the ball in the back of the net. But that's just how the game goes. The positives for me, I have to say, defensively, Koulibaly, when he came on, I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was really, really good. He shut the threat of Amad Diallo down really well. Okoli, do you know what? He was quite solid today. He didn't dive in too many chances, too many times. He was relatively well organised. Yeah, I've seen enough improvements in the players today than I did in the last game to think that the rest of the season is going to pan out relatively well if they perform as they did today.
We will talk more about the disappointment of going out of the FA Cup and losing a game late, and it's natural to want to focus on the fact that he probably should have been given offside. But when you assess the performance as a whole, and as you just did there, compare it to last week against Everton when, let's be frank, they were poor defensively.
Yep.
Will they take positives and confidence from the way they were able to keep out United's attacking players for the majority of the game, or is that completely gone as soon as you concede a late equaliser?
No. Look, it will hurt the boys. So they'll be getting in... on the coach on the way back home, they've got an hour and a half, 2 hours to get back home. They'll be fuming. It hurts. There won't be any music going on the coach. They won't be talking to each other. They'll just be analysing their own performances. And after a while, they'll start to think to themselves, do you know what? We actually gave a good account of ourselves today. We played really well. Defensively, we were relatively disciplined, really well disciplined. I thought the biggest change, and we're seeing it on screen now, when Garnacho came on, he changed the game for Manchester United. He made them far more positive and forward thinking, and I mentioned it during the game, more aggressive in attack. Apart from that, I thought Leicester City played really, really well today. there's lots of positives to take from it, but at the same time, look, we're trying to be positive off the back of a negative result.
Talk to me about the approach then from Leicester City. What was the plan, do you think, from Ruud van Nistelrooy that meant that they did get themselves into a position to be leading at the break and, 30 seconds away from taking this Manchester United team to extra time?
Do you know what? It was being simple with the ball. So not being overly complicated, not trying to take too many chances defensively. We saw once or twice where the ball was going along the back line, Okole phase to Hermansen, and it did look a little bit, I'm not too sure if you should be doing this. I didn't like it. I didn't feel too comfortable, especially in the second half where they were doing it when the Manchester United players were in a really advanced attacking position. Get rid of that part of the game. Get rid of it. I mentioned it during the game as well. Play percentage football. Now, what I mean by that is when the fullbacks have got the ball and you're under pressure from the opposition attacking players, whoever it may be, whatever team it is, you hit the ball down the line into the channel. So you play it into the opposition half, preferably into the final third, as close to the touchline as you possibly can, and everybody squeezes up the pitch. Get the ball away from your own personal goal, and that way the opposition can't score from there. That's the percentage football.
And do you feel like when a team like Manchester United are under Amorim, when they're set up with 3 centre-backs and their wing-backs very high, I mean, Diallo was the wing-back in that second half. He is a winger, isn't he? Let's be frank.
Yep.
That percentage play, as you've just been describing it, can that be even more successful when there aren't traditional full-backs in that position?
100%, because we mentioned, especially in the first half, where Diallo was on one side and Dorgu was on the other side, who actually had a pretty good game, I thought, with exception of 1 or 2 moments where he did find himself out of positions. But when you're playing the 3 at the back and 4 across the middle, the 2 wide players in the midfield, they're naturally going to be advanced. So as soon as you pick the ball up in the fullback positions, if you put it in the channels, the spaces on either side is quite big because you're only against 3 defenders rather than the 4. So I think that's where you need to try and make the most of getting the ball in those areas. And again, in the first half, Leicester City did that with Patson Daka making those channel runs in behind the 3 fullbacks, in between the spaces between them. That's what was lacking in the second half. So obviously when he goes off, you lose the pace of him, you lose the willingness to run in behind, and that's where Manchester United started to turn the screw a little bit and put a little bit more pressure on, and eventually their pressure paid off because they won a free kick, and the rest is history. You mentioned Patson Daka there. He was somebody you were keen to speak about a lot before the game, Strikers Union and all that. What is it you were hoping to see from him today? A lot of what we saw in the first half an hour or so, that running in behind. Just don't come to feet. Leave that to everybody else, because when you're playing with a 1 up top and the 3 attacking players, the 10 and the 2 wide players, you're almost isolated. So attacking wise, you're up against 2 centre halves. Today it was pretty much he was up against 3 centre halves. But if you're able to continue running in behind, that makes the opposition defenders drop deeper and deeper and deeper. When they drop deeper, there's a bigger gap in the middle of the pitch where the opposition midfield have to fill that space. When they drop deep to fill that space, there's another space in between the midfield and the forward players that your defensive midfield players can use that space wisely. When he went off, there was Manchester United, Harry Maguire in particular, felt he didn't have to drop so deep because he's having nobody running in behind. So he started squeezing up, and when Manchester United start squeezing up, the gap between the fullbacks, the centre halves and the 2 holding centre midfield players gets smaller, so they can play nice intricate passes in between them and keep the ball far easier. So did they suffer, do you think, from not having a recognised striker to come off the bench? Yeah, I think so. But again, I'm glad it happened today. I'm disappointed Leicester lost, first and foremost, but I'm glad it happened today and not in the league, because this is something that we've seen and we know the club can improve on. Maybe not maybe not now. Obviously, it's the situation that the club find themselves in with the injuries that they've got to key players. It is what it is. You can't do much about that. But in the summer, the reinforcements would be great. It would have been brilliant to have Jamie out here today, but he's being rested for one reason or another, and I understand and I respect that. The league form, the league has to be prioritised over the cup competitions. But there's lots of positives.
But with that, it's interesting that there was a lot of talk about Jake Evans, an attacking player. He wasn't on the bench despite it being brought up by Ruud van Nistelrooy. You potentially could have put Jordan Ayew. He's played as a number 9 before Steffi Mavididi has, even though you wouldn't say he's a natural striker, more of a winger. Yep. Were you surprised, bearing in mind what you've said about the approach, that it was Bonanotte that was put into that? Are we calling it a number 9? False 9? Is that the cool way to describe it when a midfielder, an attacking player is up as a striker?
Yeah, I'd say the false 9. I think that's a fair reflection of the position that they're calling it now. Was I surprised to see Jordan not going up top? Well, the thing is, if he was starting the game as a 9, then I wouldn't be surprised at all. But as the game wore on, you could see that his legs were starting to get a little bit tired. Would he have offered you the same running in behind, coming in from the middle or out wide? Would he be more impactful playing off the sides or up top? And I would say he'll be more impactful playing from the sides, because when you're up top by yourself, especially against a physical player like Harry Maguire, you're constantly thinking about, right, I know he's coming from behind me, so I've got to try and make sure I position my body in a position where I'm not going to lose the ball straight away, depending on the type of cross or type of pass it is. But also, you have to think, if he does win the ball, bring the ball down, is he going to be able to do much with it? I don't think so. Not in the number 9 position with a player like Harry Maguire. I prefer to see him off the wings. We saw in the first half in particular, and I mentioned the first half a few times, every time he picked the ball up, he was very direct. He picked the ball up and he was driving through the middle. He was trying to make things happen, create things. If he's playing through the middle, he's not going to be able to do that. And therefore, we're not going to be able to see the best of the players around him.
Daka went off. He may have picked up an injury. We'll find out from Ruud van Nistelrooy. But you spoke before the game about him taking his chance, having the opportunity. You spoke about Jamie Vardy. He's not getting any younger despite looking like he potentially is in the way that he plays. But if someone was to ask you, did Patson Daka take his chance tonight, what do you say to them?
I've seen enough from him today to say that I am more than happy to give him more chances. I thought he did well when he was running in behind, and that's something that I think the club need to reiterate to him. Try not to come to feet too often. When you come to feet as a number 9, if you're up top by yourself especially, if you're coming 2 feet, you've got nobody running in behind. Your job is to score goals first and foremost, but secondly to create spaces for everybody else to play. And if you're running towards the carnage, towards everybody else, you're closing the gap, you're closing the spaces down to everybody else. Whereas the way he was playing in the first half especially is he was running in behind the fullbacks, in behind the centre halves, and the pitch became bigger, which created more chances for Ayew, for Reed, for El Khanous. El Khanous was brilliant today as well. I really enjoyed his performance. But it gives those boys an opportunity to get on the ball and make things happen.
Talk to me more about what you liked about El Khanous in his performance.
A little bit of his arrogance. You know, he's when he picked the ball up, every time he picked the ball up, again, he was trying to make things happen. He was trying to be positive, he was trying to be forward thinking. I want to see a bit more from him, a bit more energy, a bit more just energy. Run a little bit harder, closing players down, or when you do pick the ball up, a little bit more like Jordan Ayew, pick the ball up and then be direct. But I saw enough of him today to think, do you know what? This kid could be something special.
Well, it's interesting talking about that energy and that play from him, having just spoken about the role of the attacker with Patson Daka, but Bobby De Cordova-Reid, the one showing a bit of striker's instinct for the goal. But it came, first of all, from that nice bit of play from El Khanous. What did you like about that and El Khanous' involvement in the goal, first of all?
The position he picked up, the space he created, and I liked the fact that when the ball went out wide, Bobby De Cordova-Reid managed to find himself in the middle of the pitch as well, where an attacker should be, where a number 9 should be, closing the goalkeeper down, anticipating the goalkeeper parrying the ball, anticipating him making a mistake, anticipating the ball dropping to his feet, and that's exactly what he did. I enjoyed all of that as a whole, and some.
Well, it's interesting. In commentary, I think about 10 minutes before, that happened. You said you wanted to see more from Dean Cordova-Reid, and you said you wanted to see more of the Leicester players gambling on potential mistakes from Onana. You got both of those from Dean Cordova-Reid, and that instinctive little header finish as well. As a striker, is it just purely that instinct, not really having an opportunity to think about it?
Well, I mentioned briefly earlier, look, the more you do something, the more it becomes instinct. And today, what I like to see my forward players doing, and not just my number 9s, but my forward players, I like to see them closing the goalkeeper down. I like to see them coming in from the wing, the wide areas. If the left wingers got it, I want to see the right winger tucking into the 18-yard box. If the centre forwards got it, I want to see the number 10 overlapping and closing the goalkeeper down, anticipating. That's what I like to see. We saw that today a couple of times, and it worked. It worked. It worked for the goal, and that's a positive. But the more you do something, the repetition, the more you do something, the more it becomes second nature. You don't think about it, therefore it becomes instinct.
We spoke pre-game about Dean Cordova-Reid. We've heard from him this week on the When You're Smiling podcast. He came in the summer, had a couple of opportunities, then was out of the team for a fair bit, came in against Spurs, got those 2 assists, really impressed, and then I think the whole team, you can say, struggled against Everton. So we spoke about the game, about fringe players, if you want to call him that, having an opportunity, an extended run in the team. How much of a boost will it be for him to have got that goal here at Old Trafford and, continuing to add the numbers as he's getting this little run in the team?
Well, as an attacking player, it's perfect. It builds confidence. And when you're a confident player, you do any and everything. You try everything. And a player like Bobby as well, the way that he operates, he runs hard, he tries hard. He's constantly trying hard. And if he's able to add a little bit of magic to that game, to his game as well, on top of the work ethic, on top of being neat and tidy, and on top of closing the goalkeepers down and situations like that, it turns him, I know he's 32, it turns him into a real threat, and that's the reason he's at Leicester City, because he can offer something like that.
You like him as a player, don't you?
I do.
So they went in at the break with the lead, and we spoke at half-time and said it would be important that they manage the Old Trafford crowd, manage the atmosphere inside the stadium, and you pointed out Garnacho coming on and the threat he could pose. For you, did Leicester City, and whether that's the players on the pitch or Ruud van Nistelrooy in terms of reacting tactically, did Leicester City do enough to manage the change in threat from United when Garnacho came on?
That's difficult to say. The big change for me was Thomas going off and Koulibaly coming on. I thought that was a really good change. That almost nullified Amad Diallo on the left wing, on the right wing, sorry. So that was good. The opposite side, I would have been... It's difficult to say because I thought Justin had a pretty good game today. I thought he was okay. When you're up against a player like Garnacho who can go inside or outside, left foot or right foot, cross or shot, it's very difficult to read what he's going to do or stop him from doing what he wants to do. I would say, who are you going to swap him out for, or how are you going to change that apart from going man to man? But by going man for man defensively, that takes James Justin out of the game completely and isolates him one-on-one versus Garnacho. If Garnacho beats him for pace, which I think he's got his number for, then it takes him out of the game completely. You're 11v10 players. Then what do? You're stuck. So it's a difficult one. You have to try and stop the balls going into Garnacho initially. I thought that was a little bit too easy for Manchester United to continue finding. Again, I mentioned it during the game. There were nice little intricate passes at the back, popped it into midfield, and then a nice big switch of play multiple times, probably 15, 16 times, maybe even more, to both sides. And you've got to, if you're on the pitch, you've got to read that. You've got to start seeing the signs, right? Every time he passes here, and here, the next pass is always a big diagonal, right? So where's the wide player? Oh, he's way out there. Let me go out there and stop that from happening and leave everybody else in the middle. Sometimes the manager wants you to do one thing, but if you're on the pitch and you're seeing something else developing and growing, you've got to take onus and say, do you know what? I'm doing this because this is the pass, this is the movement that is absolutely wiping us out every single time. and then deal with the manager's frustration later on when you get in the tunnel.
You mentioned there about dealing with the midfield. Of course, for Leicester City, a positive from this evening is the fact that Wilfred Ndidi was back, been out through injury since December, back into the team. How did he look for you?
Do you know what? Considering he's been out for a few months and he's up against a very difficult Manchester United team, especially in the first half, the way the midfield players were rotating and moving between playing in midfield, up front or out wide on the wings. They had a great rotation going on with the 5 or 6 attacking players in the first half, Manchester United. I thought he did relatively well. He did give the ball away a few times, and that's, you put that down to rust. He'll get back to being better the more games he plays. 58 minutes I think he played today, 58 minutes. I thought that was fantastic. That was more than enough for him. He's got an hour into his legs. He's going to go home, relax, he'll get his recovery going, and then we'll see. The more we see him, the more we see of him, the better he'll be, and the more he'll get back to what we know he's capable of.
Would that have always been the plan, do you
Yes.
think, come off then?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no way Ruud would have let him play the full 90 minutes. Absolutely not. That's just running the risk of letting him re-injure himself. And when you've been out for as long as he has, and when you're as influential as he is, there's no point in risking that.
What do you make of the partnership between him and Soumare in the middle of midfield? How do you see them as a pair?
I quite like it. They're obviously they've not played alongside each other for a little while, but you can see that when one of them goes, the other one sits, and the areas that they're starting to pick up and find themselves in, when one of them pushes high up to the right, the other one drops centrally. When one drops high to the left, the other one drops centrally. So the rotation between the two of them is really, really good. It'll be interesting to see what happens the longer the season goes on. But at the moment, it does look pretty good.
Well, because clearly there's been so much focus on defensively for Leicester City, and it is natural if you are struggling defensively to try and pinpoint, is it one of the fullbacks, is it the centre-back pairing that is struggling? But could you see an improvement defensively with the return of Wilfred Ndidi? Because obviously when he went off, they were leading at that point and looking pretty solid, you would have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. It goes down to communication. And I mentioned it during the game. The communication between the two centre-half, all 4 of the defenders and the midfield players was pretty good. The first 20 minutes, it wasn't good at all, don't get me wrong. But after that, as the game started going on, the players were getting more and more into it. The communication started growing. And what you have to realise is players shout all the time, and you have to shout at each other to get your point across. You have to squeeze up the pitch, but to squeeze up the pitch, you have to make sure your teammates are doing the same thing, and therefore you have to raise your voice and know that it's nothing personal. Some of the times this season, when the players have raised their voice, it has looked like some of the other boys have taken it a little bit personally. Today, it didn't look like that. It looked like everybody was on the same page and they were understanding, right, he's raising his voice, but it just means we're all going up together.
We'll be hearing from Ruud van Nistelrooy, and on paper it's another defeat in a run of plenty of defeats bar that game against Spurs. But do you think he'll be happy with what he's seen tonight? Do you think it'll be a positive reaction from him in that dressing room?
I don't think he'll be happy because they lost, but I think there will be, like I mentioned before, there's lots of positives to take from the performance today. There were players that done themselves proud, but there are also areas that he does know the club need to improve on. You're looking at the next game. The next game's against Arsenal. It's at home to Arsenal, which is a really, really difficult game anyway. Are you expecting anything from that game? Expecting a win? I'm not sure. At home, anything's possible as long as the players are resilient defensively, as long as they're organised defensively. There's always a possibility. And when you've got the pace of Patson Daka or Jamie Vardy or whoever it may be, McAteer or whatever it is, there's always a chance. But when you get an opportunity, when you get half a chance, you have to take it. And that's where we are.
The voice there of former Leicester City striker Jermaine Beckford with us this evening on BBC Radio Leicester Sport, live from Old Trafford. We will bring you the thoughts of Leicester City manager Ruud van Nistelrooy. Owen Palmer-Atkins standing by pitch side to speak to the Leicester City boss. While we wait for him, let's hear how the game went.
Match Live.
BBC Radio Leicester Sport.
As Ruud van Nistelrooy returns to Old Trafford in the opposition dugout, will this Manchester United legend be able to guide this Leicester City side into the next round of the FA Cup? Ball set behind by Justin. This might set Daka away here. Able to get away from Maguire and Yoro. Sets it back for Jordan Ayew, who takes a striker goal and is saved well by Onana. Looked like it may be heading into the Stretford end for a second, but it came curling and dipping back down. And Onana able to claim on his goal line, 0-0. Good ball by Ayew to find Deco Devereed in the area. Pulls it across. Is it tipped over by Onana? No, says the referee. It was well set away by Jordan Ayew. It's headed away by Dorgu. Underneath it is Ugarte, just trying to bring the ball back into Manchester United possession. Under pressure by Soumare. They're into El Khoulou's great skill. Gets to the byline, pulls it back. There's Ndidi, and will it find its way in? It does. Bobby De Cordova-Reid celebrates as he gives Leicester City the lead. The Foxes, out of nowhere, have pulled it out the hat. Bouba Soumare with the pressure on Ugarte, and El Khoulou's gifted space on the edge of the area. Just dragged it around his man, pulled it back, and Ndidi's waiting. It was blocked initially, but there was De Cordova-Reid to get that final touch. With 4 minutes to go until the break, Leicester City have the lead. Manchester United 0, Leicester City 1. Ugarte slides Garnacho through, inside left channel, Garnacho in the area, and lifts it, does he? Over Mads Hermansen. Manchester United think the ball is in, but that's a goal-saving challenge. On the line, it hits the bar, and Hermansen takes. Caleb Okoli trying to get back. Koulibaly with the cover. Now with Diallo on the right-hand side. Koulibaly over for company and tackles brilliantly first against Diallo. Picks up the seconds, does the Manchester United winger. Mazraoui's ball, looking for Xerxes, cleared away. Edge of the area, picked up again by Yoro. Now with Garnacho on this near side. Just trying to get himself around of De Cordova-Reid. Does brilliantly well. That might fall for Xerxes. And then it is put in. Garnacho with fast feet and a burst of pace, gets himself to the byline, pulls it across, and Xerxes was there to pick up the seconds and fire into the roof of the net. And Manchester United have their equaliser, and it is game on. Manchester United 1, Leicester City 1. We have played 2 minutes of the 3 added on at the end of this game. Manchester United 1, Leicester City 1. Fernandes with a dangerous looking ball. There's Maguire, and there's the winner. Manchester United win the FA Cup 4th round against Leicester in the final minute. A delightful free kick from Fernandes left hand side, and it's a powering header from Harry Maguire at the back post, who wins it against his former side. Manchester United into the hat for the 5th round, and after all of Leicester's good work, they are heartbroken. Just seconds remain at Old Trafford. It's Manchester United's night. It's Manchester United 2, Leicester City 1.
So that is how it happened here at Old Trafford. Leicester City losing late to Manchester United, and of course former Fox Harry Maguire getting his head on the end of that Bruno Fernandes cross. Questions over offside. We'll leave that to you to debate, shall we? I'm sure it's all over social media already. The FA Cup weekend, of course, only just beginning. Busy weekend of round 4 action. On Saturday, it's a trip to Brisbane Road for Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. Of course, reached the final last season, losing to Manchester United. They take on Leyton Orient at 12:15. Coventry hosting Ipswich. Sky Blues chasing place in the 5th round of the FA Cup for the 2nd successive season, something they've not done since 2009. Of course, a toenail away from reaching the final last year. Everton hosted Bournemouth first FA Cup meeting between the two sides since 2016. Southampton against Burnley. The Clarets have not beat Premier League opposition in the FA Cup since 2008-2009. It's Wigan against Fulham as well. The two sides meet for the first time since July 2020. And then later on, it's 5:45, Birmingham against Newcastle. Former Leicester City assistant coach Chris Davis hosts the Newcastle side who booked their place in the final of the EFL Cup in midweek, of course. Newcastle boss Eddie Howe has called on his side to avoid complacency.
We can't underestimate the challenge that we face, and we need to rise to it, and that's the big thing, I think, the response of our players. I think it's down to our mental response. If we are our aggressive selves like we were on Wednesday, if we know the importance of every duel, then hopefully our ability will show.
And then at 8 o'clock tomorrow, Chelsea take on a Brighton side who they beat 4-2 earlier on in the season in the Premier League. Seagulls, of course, lost 7-0 last Saturday at Nottingham Forest. So how's Fabian Hürzeler feeling about taking on Enzo Maresca's side?
We were honest to each other, we analysed it, and then it's also important to stay calm and to go back to the basics. And I think one of our basics is intensity, to play with intensity. And I think we missed this the last game, and we reflected each other and said that we have to go back what makes us strong, and that's intensity.
On to Sunday, and at 12:30, Blackburn host Wolves. The two sides meet in the FA Cup for the first time since the 1960 final. And then at 3 o'clock, Plymouth against Liverpool. Liverpool, as well as Newcastle, booked their place in the Carabao Cup final on Thursday night, but Argyle did take them to a replay in the FA Cup in 2017. Arne Slot could make changes for the trip to Devon, but wants the starting 11 to prove themselves.
It is true that if you play with a team that hasn't played so much together, that is always for the players a bit more difficult, but I think we've seen already a few times when we played with a team that hasn't played much together, even in Eindhoven in the Champions League game, these players were able to play a very good game.
And then at 5:35 on Sunday, it's Aston Villa against Tottenham. Villa not reached round 5 of the FA Cup since 2014-15 when they beat Leicester on the way to the final. Here, though, is Spurs boss Ange Postecoglou.
I don't know which people I need to prove wrong. I mean, like I said last night, it's irrelevant to me what other people's opinions are. People are on the TV and the radio and newspaper to give opinions. I respect that. They're allowed to do that, but that doesn't compel me. I don't have no obligation to listen to any of it, or like seriously to get fueled by comments made by people I've never even met. I don't know how you live your life, but I certainly don't live my life that way.
And then on Monday, Doncaster host Crystal Palace. First meeting between the sides since 2017. And Exeter play Nottingham Forest on Tuesday. It doesn't feel right in FA Cup weekend going all the way to Tuesday. But here we are. You're listening to BBC Radio Leicester Sport live from Old Trafford, where Leicester City have been beaten in the fourth round 2-1 by Manchester United. We are waiting to hear from the manager, Ruud van Nistelrooy, to get his reaction to that late winner for Man U and the question marks, I think it's fair to say, over offside on Harry Maguire, and let's be honest, 3 of his teammates in the build-up to that. While we do wait for him, something non-league related for you. Saffron Dynamo was the venue earlier for an important walking football match for one player who nearly died last year. The club has benefited from a scheme run by the Premier League and the Football Foundation to provide thousands of defibrillators throughout communities within the UK, and it was at Saffron Dynamo that one of those defibs had saved a life. Russell Hobbs went along.
Hi, I'm Nick Purchard, Director of Community at the Premier League, and today we're here at Saffron Dynamo celebrating the Premier League's More Than a Game campaign. Everyone knows the success of the game and our amazing clubs, including Leicester City, but fewer people know about the investment we put into the wider game and into communities. And sites like this one, this received over £340,000 from the Football Foundation. But the main reason we're here today is because of our defibrillator scheme. So back in 2021, we committed to invest in 2,000 defibrillators across the country in grassroots facilities just like this one, with the aim ultimately to save a life. And I'm very fortunate that we've got Dave here, one of the walking footballers, who has received the support of a defibrillator and is out there on the pitch as we speak.
Hi, my name's Dr. Ganeshan Ramsamy, and I'm a doctor at Aston Villa Football Club.
Presumably these defibs must be easy to use because you're asking
non-medically trained people to act in an emergency, aren't you?
Absolutely, and initially when you look at a defibrillator, it looks complex, but the instructions are given to you as you open it and have recognised a cardiac arrest, and they're very, very easy to use. Sudden cardiac arrest is a rare event. We obviously know about the high-profile cases that have happened, in football, but at grassroots level, we obviously know about Dave's case, but, this might be happening nationwide, and I think early recognition of it is key, but early access to a defibrillator is even more important.
Well, Dave Orton, you've just been playing walking football. Now, October last year was quite a month for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, certainly the 4th was. Anyway, yes, I unfortunately had a cardiac arrest while I was playing on this pitch. 10 minutes into the game, I don't know anything about it apart from just collapsing and receiving CPR and having a defib fitted. Ambulance took me away and I spent a week in Glenfield Hospital.
So effectively the defib scheme has saved your life?
Absolutely, couldn't believe it. And I owe it to all my mates here. They all played their part and absolutely fantastic.
Now you're back here playing walking football and Wes Morgan's turned up.
I know.
He didn't walk much.
No, I don't think any of us do really, but he's still got the skills we know him from. So it was great to see him and still a good player obviously.
Well, Wes Morgan, very important to be here.
It's good to see the good work that goes off in the Premier League get filtered down the pyramids.
You're playing walking football and I'm trying to keep up with you.
You know what? I think you've got this. I think you need to come out of retirement.
I think my best years are behind me though. That's the problem, Wes.
You know what? Just to see Dave, and hear his story, how the players came to his aid and then rushed to get the defib, and then that did its job. I think that's incredible in itself. A fantastic story, and just be a part of this and meet a lot of Leicester fans because we're in Leicestershire, but meet other fans as well. Hopefully bring some happiness on the face and help out in this walking football game as well.
We're in the second half, and I think it was 6-2, wasn't it?
You know what? I've not kept score, to be fair.
I don't believe you.
I've got my goal, that's the main thing.
Well, it's lovely to talk to you. Thanks for your help.
You too.
Cheers. Thank you.
Former Leicester City captain Wes Morgan there, speaking with Russell Hobbs down at Saffron Dynamo. You're listening to BBC Radio Leicester Sport live from Old Trafford, while Foxes fans travelling back down the M6 this evening. City's women back in the northwest this weekend. They take on Manchester City in the 5th round of the FA Cup. The Foxes reached the last 4 of the competition last year. Manager Amandine McKell will be hunting down a place in the quarterfinals on Sunday. She's been previewing the game with Zoe McGrady.
Nothing new, huh? So far. Last time we spoke, it was obviously on deadline day, before the actual deadline. Since then, we brought in 2 new signings, the first being striker Lynn Eriksdottir. Is she someone you've been following? She got a few minutes on the weekend. Have you been impressed with her first week at the club?
Yeah, it's a player the club has been following before I arrived also. It was a player that wanted to come during this window, so yeah, we're happy for her to join us, and she got a few minutes, and hopefully she'll get more and more to see how fast she adapts to this league.
Are you happy with how she's settled in so far with the squad and being with the players?
Yes, definitely, we're happy. We're happy with what she's been doing so far. It's a bit early to give a wider opinion. We have to give her time and we'll see how it goes.
You also brought in forward Carla Torres from Santa Fe. That was one was a loan deal. She's still quite young, but she seems to be quite highly rated. Were you happy to get that one over the line?
Yes, definitely. It's the style of players I would usually aim for, young and from far away. We'll be working with her and to try to get the best out of her, but I do think that she has a very interesting profile.
And with her as well, are you hoping for any sort of instant impact because of how much you need your offensive players to be working now to get those goals up, or is this a process?
No, it's a process. I mean, if they score 5 goals in 5 games, I don't mind. They can. It's not forbidden. But if they don't, it's fine also. Depends. It's really hard to predict how fast a player is going to be comfortable in a new team, in a new league, and for some even in a new culture and new weather. So it's very hard to predict those things. But we'll do our best to make sure that both of them can focus on football and have the maximum of chances to perform.
Overall, are you happy with the backing that the club gave you during the January transfer window?
Yes, definitely. As I said before, even if we had no more players, we would have adapted. I think recruiting is something that should be done, not forced, but because you found something you liked. And when you don't find, then why add players to add players? So our intention was to give ourselves a bit more choice, which is the case now with 2 more players. And we'll see how they do, but we are definitely, either way, would have been happy with the window. If we had taken no one, means that no one fitted our style, and it's not a bad thing. We'd have waited for summer then.
A heavy loss last weekend against Everton, quite a tough one to take. You've spoke about a lot about how the mentality of the squad has improved. Is it frustrating to keep having what feel like setbacks and being unable to pick up consecutive wins?
Yeah, I definitely think that we're on moving up well on the mental aspects. And looking at the Everton game, even though Everton did well also, we can't put everything on ourselves. They definitely were more efficient than on the first game we played them in the first phase. But still, I would expect us to be a bit more alive. I don't know if I can say that. And the players know it and know that they could have done much better. And I'd see it more as a joker. You can take one per phase. We took one maybe against Crystal Palace in the first phase. Now we took our second joker against Everton, and we don't have any more. So we have to make sure that any game that comes until the end, we're much more aggressive and dynamic in what we show.
After conceding 4 goals, what has the message been to your defensive players this week during training? Have you seen the right attitude in them, in that they want to put right the wrongs that happened last weekend?
I wouldn't say I expect defense more than a striker to feel that they done bad. I mean, defending is a matter of the 11 players and not only the back line. So for me, it's, when you take a goal, you can take the problem at different heights, and it can come from your striker. So all the team know that we should have done better. They know why we took the goals. And we're working on it, as we have been since the beginning of the season, to make sure that our defense is hard to beat, which was the case maybe before these 4 goals. So as I said, for me, often it's also mental aspects. The game that everyone wishes or expects you to win, it becomes maybe harder than the one that no one expects you to win. That's why I keep saying that we have not to pick games, and the points that we're missing maybe we'll take against opponents that we're not expected to, and that's fine also. There's not a special way to do a season. That's just the way we'll do it, and maybe Everton was not the one for us.
You face Manchester City this weekend, looking to get to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. Last time you faced Man City, it was a 4-0 loss in the league back in December. You were right in the middle of a really tough period of that injury crisis. Man City were flying at the time. Since then, you've got players back. You brought in some new players. Do you feel in a much better situation now to face a top team like that?
Much better, I don't know. We'll see Sunday. I don't know if there's an ideal situation to face those teams. It's sure that we have a bit more choice than we played them last time. But it's a second phase. It's a different moment. We have changed a little. They have changed things also. So our first intention would be really to show something more than what we showed last weekend. However the game goes, I want the players to fight and to feel that they have no regrets when they come out of the pitch.
Has there been much talk amongst the players about, obviously, Leicester City getting to the semi-finals last season? Has there been much talk about that and how they want to get there again?
No, I don't feel this type of conversation, because the players know that you can't compare 2 seasons. We don't have the same players. It's not the same moment. They don't have the same players. So you can't just... And I'd give them the example with Everton. It's not because you beat Everton on the first phase that systematically you're gonna get the win on the second. Life would be too easy if it's like that. So it's the same for the FA Cup. It's a great thing to have reached the semi-final last season, but this is a new season, and if we want for us to reach the next step, we have to beat City this weekend.
Just finally on that, how much would it mean to you personally to beat Man City and get this team to the quarterfinals of the Cup?
Well, it would mean like any other victory. I mean, just any other performance would make me happy. I would be as happy to beat Aston Villa the weekend after, you know. So, as I said again, we're not picking games, and there's not games that I want to win more than others. The more we can win, the better, obviously. But we'll make sure that we have the right attitude and mental aspects for the next weekend.
Leicester City women's manager Amandine Mikel there speaking to Zoe McGrady. They are up here in the northwest, but they take on Manchester City in the 5th round of the FA Cup on Sunday. Of course, they made it to the semi-finals last year. You are listening to BBC Radio Leicester Sport live from Old Trafford, where City's men have gone out at the 4th round thanks to a late winner from Harry Maguire. After the game, the manager Ruud van Nistelrooy has been speaking with Owen Palmer-Atkins.
Ruud, how frustrated are you with the way in which that game was decided?
Yeah, the team didn't deserve a bad decision of the referees to lose the game, because we're in this game. I think we were actually the better team, leading 1-0 at half time, got out of the break very good, and of course we're going to be under some pressure at Old Trafford as well with the quality of players they have, but we stayed in the game for a long time and got into the game, went into extra time. So with a call like that, half a meter offside, it's a hard one. The team didn't deserve it. I complimented them with the performance, the way they approached the game, we approached the game, but the way they played in pressing, putting pressure on United, playing as well, creating, scoring. Yeah, big credit to the team.
It was A, obviously the offside decision, but also B, the handball as well in the build-up. Is that something that you can question?
Yeah, you can question. Yeah, it's so close. It's debatable. The offside wasn't, of course.
Was that the frustration, I guess, then at the end from you and your coaches? Obviously, you went straight onto the pitch. Your coaches were talking to the fourth official as well. And have you had any reaction, I guess, from the officials themselves?
No, I mean, it's done. You cannot turn it back. Of course, we are disappointed because we see our team fight and play and deserved a lot more to lose the game because of a bad call, but we're all humans. But at this level, you expect more, and it's not good enough.
What is your assessment of the performance as a whole? Because it felt improved from last week against Everton.
Yeah, I think this is the performance more like the Spurs away game, and we wanted to give that reaction. That I said after the Everton game, it's not good enough. It's not us. We are better than that, and the team showed today that they're a lot better than that, and that we're in a fight, that we're together, that we're working to improve, that we are putting performances in like this, and we know as well that next week is expected again, and that consistency is what we're looking for. But today it's credits to the team for the performance. Yeah.
You were able to bring Wilfred Ndidi back into the team today, captain the side as well. How valuable is it for you to have him back?
It's clearly visible what the impact is, off the ball, also on the ball. It's not only the armband, of course, but it's his leadership qualities as well. He's demanding of his people around him, and he's forcing and pushing and helping all his teammates, and you can see how he lifted the team. So it's great to have him back. Of course, he couldn't play any longer after 8 weeks out. He left everything out there, and he will recover and be back next week for another 2 weeks of training.
Ruud van Nistelrooy, the Leicester City manager, giving his thoughts to Owen Palmer-Atkins after their 2-1 defeat here at Manchester United. Jermaine Beckford, your thoughts on what the manager had to say?
Well, you can hear the disappointment in his voice, which is understandable. Look, he didn't want to dwell on the fact that the linesman, the officials, made a mistake by not calling the offside, the second goal offside. But at the same time, he was very respectful of his opponents. And obviously, you sort of expect that, having been classed well, he's a legend here, isn't he? Let's be honest. But also talking about Ndidi, I quite liked the fact that he spoke about him in glowing terms as well. It's not only his footballing prowess that he brings to this football club. It's more about the leadership skills, the leadership qualities, and the communication. And that's something that over the last, I don't know how many weeks, since he's been injured, pretty much 8 weeks or so, has been lacking. We saw an improvement in the performance today. It's to be seen how long that lasts. I hope it's for the next game, the Arsenal game, and I hope it's there and beyond. And I hope he stays fit as well, because there's no doubting the leadership skills and the qualities that he brings defensively and offensively. His energy gets up and down the pitch, and it's slowly but surely about building his fitness levels up, so he's able to play a full 90 eventually.
You mentioned the Arsenal game there. Ruud van Nistelrooy mentioned it as well. Clearly now that is the sole focus, is the Premier League, staying in the Premier League. They'll be disappointed to go out of the FA Cup, but does it give them a focus now that is, their sole aim is to stay in the Premier League? Yeah,
absolutely. Listen, it would have been nice to have gone on another cup run and got to the final and won it again, but it wasn't meant to be. If you're flying high in the Premier League, if you've got nothing really to worry about, I would say cup runs are fantastic. Go for it. However, on the other side, it's all about Leicester being 2 points inside the relegation zone. That's unacceptable, and it's something that Ruud desperately wants to get out of. And now he's able to focus solely on the Premier League, which is one game a week for the most part. Saturday followed by a Sunday, followed by Saturday followed by a Saturday, followed by a Sunday. If you're able to do that, you can get more workload into the players. You can get more focus on the defensive elements, creating opportunities. And he's one of the best finishers in the Premier League. So scoring goals shouldn't really be something that Leicester struggle with. So it will afford him a little bit more time to focus on, the attacking plays.
Despite the defeat, given the mood amongst the players and the fans after that defeat to Everton, will they be feeling more positive after tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. You can mark that down. Look, don't forget the Everton game came off the back of beating Spurs 2-1. So if you're playing against a team like Tottenham away at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which is phenomenal, and you put in a performance like that, you score the goals that you do. Look, you can sort of afford to put the Everton game down to a bad start, 10 seconds, 9 seconds, whatever it was. That will ruin anybody's game plan, and it will get everybody on the back burner right from the off. So you can kind of mark that down, mark it off. It's gone. It's gone. You're only as good as your last performance, not your last result, your last performance. That Everton performance was poor, really, really poor. Today's performance against Manchester United was much better. It just didn't last long enough. Now, in the Premier League, like I mentioned before, we would have finished up with a point, because that goal, the winner would have been ruled out for offside. That's not actually a bad point.
Jermaine Beckford, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Former Leicester City striker Jermaine Beckford with us. Thank you so much for being with us as well. Don't forget, Owen will be back on Monday with more Leicester City talk as well. We will also have on the When You're Smiling podcast reaction to Leicester City's women there at Manchester City in the FA Cup on Sunday. So make sure to look out on your feed for that as well. Thank you so much for being with us at Old Trafford, and we'll see you next time. Ta-ra!
Do they? Because dog paddle is the thing, isn't it? We got it from dogs.
It's all dogs can swim, but not all dogs want to swim, if that makes sense. So you get some, like, their owners will go, they'll walk around a puddle rather than walk through it. A few times at the pool, they love it. I remember the first time I really saw this, it was so funny. I think it was a little Dachshund or a little terrier. And there are handles on the life jackets. Now, we never throw them in. We never, dunk them or whatever, nothing like that. I picked up the dog by the hand and under the belly to pass to the dog's owner that was in the pool. So they were going to hold the dog as they, just walked around the pool calmly. Well, this dog in midair just started swimming.
I've seen that. No, that's...
And his little face, he was like, I don't know why I'm doing it, but I know there's a reason. Which meant that when the owner took hold of him, because this is what we do, if you get the really baby ones and the new ones, and if they're not sure, you can just hold them while you're in the pool.
Yes.
And they very quickly go, I quite like this. And they're like, you get the other ones, like, the spaniels who just go, woohoo, and just throw themselves in. There was one breed, and I can't remember, it was a French water dog. That was it. And she was a puppy, and it was her first go, and it was almost like you could see the DNA in her just all pinged into place and went, I know how to do this. She was amazing. So it can depend on the breed, but we've had Newfoundlands that go, I don't want to go in there.
Really?
Well,
it's a job.
Yeah, no, it is their job. So have you looked at their feet? Because I've never actually examined a Newfoundland feet, because they are supposed to be the only breed with truly webbed, like
with
a duck.
the webbed feet.
Yeah.
I wasn't actually there with the new feet. Next time we get one, I'm going to go down. Well, see, I always thought Steve had webbed feet. He's a black lab, because when you see him swim,
I thought he was someone that helped you.
Yeah,
I thought that's not a nice way to talk about Steve.
Steve is the Labrador. When he swims, he's beautiful, because by land he's a big chunky Labrador. You get him in the water, he's gorgeous, and he actually does. You can see his feet splay out, and the webs between. Not proper webs, but yeah, they do use that, and the way they use their tails. But even the ones that are built for swimming, the Newfoundlands, some of them don't go in, and then you get these tiny little like Dachshunds and Chihuahuas, and they're all like, I'm going in.
That's hysterical.
And they love it.
It's hysterical. I've got a friend, Richard Durrant, who has a Newfoundland that would herd everyone up in the sea. So I just wondered if they herd everyone up in the pool.
We get different behaviours with toys, because we have lots and lots of different toys, because obviously we have lures and all sorts to try and some of them, again, like the Labrador here, he will only swim for a yellow tennis ball, and you get other ones that have got their absolute favourite toy, and that is the only thing that they're getting in the pool for. You offer them anything else, they're like, no, thank you. They're all different.
I would love to watch this. I can understand why it's so popular. I mean, I would love. Do you have people that just watch the dogs? That's better than going to the theatre.
We do. We have a viewing gallery that's above.
Love that.
If you don't want it, because if you stand by the pool, you're getting soggy. And we have people that stand up there, but it's hilarious because a number of people have come down and said, oh no, I'm not going to swim with the dog. And then they're like, next time I'm swimming with the dog. I've actually had to, there was a family came down and the kids were so distraught because they hadn't got swim ready. And I scrabbled around finding T-shirts so they could get in with them, because we get lovely, like some of the photos we get when you've got the whole family in the pool, the kids in the pool with them and all that kind of thing.
Do you think dogs wee in the pool
we've had
like
people
humans?
Cry. No, because I don't think they can. I think there's something funny.
I bet they can't. I bet they can't actually, if you think about it, because dogs can't. They have to manoeuvre themselves to wee, so I don't think they could. So they're probably much cleaner.
We've built outside.
They'd be much cleaner to swim with.
What about the chlorine? Because has it got chlorine in?
It's got the same amount of chlorine in it as there is in tap water. So your dogs don't smell, and some dogs can be quite sensitive to it. So there's none of that, and it's because we've got this incredible UV filter.
Okay.
And Abby is amazing at getting that. She's honestly, she's amazed me. I'm considering she was 19 when we opened it. She's 20 now. She only has one day off a week. Some nights she's working till like 9 o'clock at night. She does it all herself. She's got it down. She does all the chemical measures. She does all the pHs and all this, that, and the other. And she's got it just right. And it is because it's got this UV filter, so you don't need as much chlorine in it at all. So
that's so interesting, Lou. That is so interesting, actually, because I've always been a bit concerned. I am a bit paranoid, I suppose, of the chlorine content, which is why I haven't actually done any hydrotherapy with my little dog, Mr. Binks, who probably could use it because he has a degenerative bone condition. But
bless him.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. And I've talked to some pool people about it, and they say, well, look, it's at the level of a human swimming pool, and I'm like, I don't know about that, because you stink of chlorine for about a year after you've been in one of those. And Binks is quite bald, so I don't know. So would your pool be less than that?
It is less, But the thing that we're quite excited about that is finally going to happen is, so at the moment we're just fun swims. It's not hydrotherapy.
Right.
Although I'll be honest with you, we've got dogs that have come down who've, just got, they've got older limbs or they've had ongoing injuries, and the difference in them, because just swimming will help. But proper hydrotherapy is just around the corner, because Abby started the course as we opened. We didn't realise how busy we'd be. She was hoping to get it done really quickly. She's just about to finish the last of her assessments, and then she's got to do practical, and then we will be offering proper hydrotherapy. So
Fantastic.
for those dogs with post surgery.
Listen,
now, we do then need to put the chlorine levels up a little bit, apparently. But
maybe
that's her department. So.
Lou, I can understand. I wish we had somewhere like this near me. Whether I'd get my bulldog in or not, I don't know. But I'd love to just sit and watch. Congratulations to you. Anyone that lives around the North Hickham, is it Hickham?
It's
or
Hickham. It's Lincoln. Yeah, basically, it's sort of the southwest side of Lincoln.
Anyone that lives there, it is called Soggy Dogs. And is that your website?
Yeah, and it's dogs with a Z. I mean, we get people from all over. We've had people from like Hull. And,
I bet you have.
They do travel, yeah, because it's...
Oh, listen, congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's been lovely to talk to you again.
It's so lovely, and we'll catch up with you again in a year. And send our love to Abby and tell her congratulations from Anna and myself. Thank you, Lou.
I will do.
Wonderful,
Thank you. Take care.
Wonderful. Lou Robinson there. I really wish they had them in this city. I don't know how many people listening have a doggy-friendly pool. If you do, if you have them near you, then you're so lucky, because they say 1 minute of swimming is like a 4-mile run.
Really?
For a dog. Yeah, that's how much they're using. Anna, very quickly, before we go, you have a fabulous, I was going to say Oscar-nominated, award-nominated podcast called A Dog's Life.
Yes.
Tell us what's on the latest episode.
Okay, so the one that drops on Sunday is, interestingly, all about raw food. So you can tune in on all platforms and wherever you tune into your podcasts.
Fantastic, thank you. Very quickly, Caroline has emailed. She says, Joe and Anna, the Blue Peter pets in our day were Petra and Patch, both dogs, and Jason the Siamese cat. I remember Jason's passing made the Daily Telegraph. I'm such a saddo, I still think I have the cutting somewhere. I'm all snuggled up listening to you with Babs and Wilf.
Oh, bless Caroline.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Anna. See you next week.
See you next week.
Have a very good week, Anna. Coming up next, we will be chewing the fat. That's straight after the 11 o'clock news.